FIVEaa.
A possible shower in 22 with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Hit. Car scuffle driving to work? Contact FIVEaa Panel Services, RAA approved crash repairer.
China has labelled Australia irresponsible after striking a nuclear submarine deal with the US and UK. America and Britain have agreed to share their technology with us, allowing for the construction of 8 nuclear subs. Beijing argues it'll undermine regional peace and stability. Speaking through a translator, China's Foreign Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian says the decision will only intensify the nuclear arms race.
Now it is importing nuclear-powered submarine technology with strategic military value. The international community, including neighbouring countries, have reason to question its commitment to nuclear non-proliferation. China will closely monitor the situation.
And France's fury over the historic deals escalated. The country's just cancelled a gala in Washington, D.C., celebrating its alliance with the US. Australia's now cancelled submarine project with France was worth $90 billion. It's now compulsory for aged care workers to have had at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. More from 9's Helene Lambetsos.
National Cabinet agreed to the measure and it's been legally mandated in New South Wales, Queensland and Western Australia. But about 6% of workers in the sector still haven't had a single shot. What happens to those workers remains a mystery, and there are concerns from the Health Services Union that the sector won't cope if staff are stood down.
And multiple heart operations at a major Sydney hospital have had to be cancelled after about a dozen cardiologists were forced into COVID isolation. 2 unvaccinated nurses worked shifts at St Vincent's Hospital while infected with the virus. Victorian police will have additional powers to stop and search people and vehicles for weapons ahead of a major anti-lockdown rally tomorrow. Melbourne's CBD has been declared a designated area for 12 hours tomorrow, making it an offence for people to hinder officers. Premier Daniel Andrews has also defended the decision to close the public transport system.
I've heard it said, that this is heavy-handed. That's nonsense. It's what the Chief Commissioner's asked for. In terms of inconveniencing people, I apologise if anybody is inconvenienced by the fact that we have to respond to what may be a very dangerous event, if it's anything like what it was a couple of weekends ago.
A new report has revealed significant safety concerns on Australian building and construction sites. The Hazard 2020 safety campaign has been examining the 2 most common sources of on-site incidents: scaffolding and mobile plants. It's found more than a third of mobile plant incidents resulted in serious or life-threatening injuries. Federal Safety Commissioner David Denny says better awareness is key.
I think a lot of it has to do with being aware of what the key hazards in relation to safety with scaffolding and mobile plant is, and then putting in place systems that ensure that those things are dealt with in a consistent manner.
History has been made in Queensland after voluntary assisted dying laws passed state parliament. 61 MPs voted in support of the legislation and 30 were opposed. The new laws take effect from January 2023. And Elton John has been forced to postpone his upcoming tour in Britain and Europe until 2023 due to a hip injury. It's the second time the dates have been postponed. Now turning to FIVEaa Sport.
Save up to $800 on selected Asco washer dryer packages. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Outgoing Port Adelaide assistant coach Jared Schofield admits the opportunity to move back to West Coast in a more senior role was one too good to pass up. The former Power Premiership player telling Rowie it wasn't easy, but he made a call on what was best for his career.
I did have a year to go on my contract, and look, an interest was shown and an opportunity that I looked at closely, and obviously I've made a decision to go to West Coast and further my coaching aspiration.
Former Socceroos boss Ange Postecoglou suffered a heartbreaking defeat in Celtic's first Europa League match. The Hoops gave up a 2-goal lead to go down 4-3 against Spanish club Real Betis. Postecoglou says there wasn't much between the two sides.
When you come away from home, you're scoring 3 goals. I think we created many more chances apart from that, and I think moving forward, I think there's some good signs there.
The doping nightmare facing swimmer Shayna Jack is finally over. The Court of Arbitration for Sport has dismissed Sporting Integrity Australia's appeal of her ban reduction. She's now free to return to competition. Cricket Australia is confident England will send a full-strength side for the Ashes this summer. There are some suggestions players will boycott the tour over our quarantine measures. And week 2 of the NRL finals gets underway tonight in Mackay when the Sydney Roosters take on the Manly Sea Eagles. The winner of tonight's clash will play against South Sydney next week for a spot in the grand final. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now to the weather.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A possible shower in 22 today, a shower or two tomorrow, 17, a possible shower Sunday, 20, and then cooler on Monday with showers, 15. At the moment, 18. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
Don't miss Olympic Industries whatever the weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Friday on FIVEaa Breakfast. We got you covered with all the big news stories this morning. The Premier of the state, Stephen Marshall, will be on the show after 7:30. Peter Malinauskas, the leader of the Labor Party, will join us too. We'll talk about the subs deal and what it means for South Australia at 7:30. A little bit later in the morning, the Finance Minister, Simon Birmingham, will give us the federal take on this as well. He'll be on the show after 8 o'clock. Also today, Police Commissioner Grant Stevens. We'll talk to him about the seeming state of static that exists in the Transition Committee at the moment. Everything's in a holding pattern until 80%, or at least that's how it feels. He'll give us the insight to that a little bit later in the morning. And also, fans of Packed to the Rafters are going to enjoy our chat with Eric Thomson, who is obviously Dave Rafter, who will be on the show before 7 o'clock today talking about Back to the Rafters, the fact that from today you can watch the cast reassembled, all new adventures, all new fun to be had. Fans of the original are absolutely going to love this. It's available on Amazon Prime from today. We'll speak to Eric Thomson about how it came about before 7 o'clock. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Slightly different mood today, just after 6:05 than it was yesterday, when all we knew was that the Naval Group contract had been shredded.
Yes.
And that something big was about to happen. We didn't know what it was. Clearly, there's uncertainty still for the Naval Group staff here in Adelaide. I was talking to a couple of mates yesterday who work there, and they're pretty shattered with it all. But not blithely setting that aside, but looking at the other side of the ledger, it feels like a pretty good time to be a South Australian, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The timelines of these things, there's immediate pain, obviously, for people, the individuals that are working for Naval Group have uncertainty. We do feel for them. But if you were always conceptualising the submarine build as something for the economy of South Australia, this is something that's still going to be there for a period of 20, 30 years. So the timeline's obviously been pushed back a little bit, but in terms of what it could potentially mean for the industry, it's just extraordinary. I do feel sorry for France. I feel like they're good people, good country, a like-minded country to Australia, home of democracy. They can claim fairly that in its modern incarnation they invented it. And, I was, and look, all roads lead to food for me, but I was thinking, we're going to have this influx of Frenchies coming into town and seeing the French Foreign Minister. He gave it to Biden with both barrels and said he's basically acted like Donald Trump. We'll take you through an audio suite after 7 o'clock of all the big players right around the world reacting to the news yesterday. But for their point, you understand France. It's not just that we reneged on the deal and cancelled it. It's not just they've lost the business. It's that their other biggest allies all conspired to make sure, without telling them that the deal was going to be reneged on. So they'd be feeling pretty isolated at the moment. Yeah. So sort of wondering in the post-Brexit world whether part of it was just, Johnson with his significant role in this going, who cares? That's a significant factor because with Britain's part of the EU, this can't happen. Looking at some of the anti-arguments about it, I think the most confronting and worth talking about is Keating's. When Keating came out and said, so with his trademark bluster, he said, so we've just thrown all our eggs in the same basket as a declining superpower that over the last 20 years has been unable to beat a bunch of blokes driving around with AK-47s. And he also said,
quite alarmingly, that he's not sure if there was a war between the Allies and China. He thinks China would probably win.
I don't know if that's true today. The question is whether that's true by 2050. So all of China's plans for procurement in the naval and military space is to have military parity with the US by 2050, which is why we're all gearing up and trying to do this stuff now with allies in the region, so that by that point in time, there is a sort of an effective counterpoint to what they're doing over there. Yeah, it's concerning. Well, think of all the work Keating did to get Australia into China. To start that relationship, Australia into Asia more broadly, he would see that as a walking back of it. This is a walking back of his legacy.
I'll tell you what, though, there's a few Labor MPs, ex-Labor MPs, who cannot bring an impartial eye to the relationship because it's been their meal ticket since they left politics.
Sure, in
the lobbying space.
Yep,
you know that's a huge part of it. Funniest comment of the day has to be Adam Bann, floating Chernobyls. Floating Chernobyls. Good comment for his base.
Yeah. Do they need convincing, though?
No, but his potential base involves people on the left of the ALP as well, who would be instinctively, oh, really? Because there's a pretty solid current of anti-Americanism on the left that exists within the Labor Party too.
That's true. Geez, well,
I don't know if I'd want to be... Anthony Albanese's seat of Grayndler contains the huge inner western Sydney suburb of Marrickville, which is your classic inner city Brunswick type part of town. It was the first council in Australia to declare itself a nuclear free zone in the 1980s. I think it could become a real issue for people like Albo in terms of holding his seat against the Greens, and also for people like Tanya Plibersek retaining the seat of Sydney. That includes Balmain and Glebe, you know, all of these places where people sit around wearing ponchos, weaving their own yogurt, tending their compost heaps.
Chernobyl's got a lot to answer for, doesn't it? You know, in a world that's had thousands of reactors dotted all over the joint, one in the Soviet Union that wasn't particularly well maintained.
It was 75 years old.
Yeah. It came to grief, and suddenly, you know, 12 floating Chernobyls. Seriously.
Yeah. I think Vladimir Lenin opened Chernobyl.
Yeah, seriously.
Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov.
Exactly right. Not the Beatle. 13 minutes after 6, 8223 0000 is our name. You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Parker text line. There's lots to talk about. There's lots happening in the news today. We've got you covered right through until 9 o'clock, and we'll delve into the headlines right after this.
For 37 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth a trip. They are Adelaide's small SUV specialists. Located in Gawler with late model Tucson, ASX, RAV4, or the Forester, Trax, Kona, and more available now. Perfect for the growing tribe with lots of space, safety features, and economical to run. With 60 SUVs in stock, Steinborner Gawler has you covered. View all our used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
Hello. Frank Walker from National Tiles. National Tiles supplies 4 out of the 5 biggest home builders in Australia. Yes, National Tiles supplies 4 out of the 5 biggest home builders in Australia. Because National Tiles provides the biggest and best home builders with the very best quality tiles for their clients and the very best value for money tiles for their clients. So if you're a professional builder, to guarantee your clients the very best, contact National Tiles now.
Well, we've made it to spring, and your local Cheapers Chips has everything you need to get your spring garden and home in shape. Thanks to Cheapers Chips, it's a spring thing catalogue out now.
That's right. The catalogue is chock-a-block full of spring goodies for your garden, bedroom, kitchen, bathroom. In fact, any room or space in and around your home.
And how about this for an offer? Right now, you spend $75 or more, you get $10 back. How good's that? Spend $75, get $10 back. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, no matter what spring thing you need, spring your thing cheaper at Cheapers Chips in store or online. For a store near you, visit cheaperschips.com. And remember, take a look at the latest It's a Spring Thing catalogue out now.
What starts with A and ends with E? Supplements for you and me. What ends with E and starts with A? Clap your hands and hear me say Upper Vitae, Upper Vitae. What starts with A and ends with E? Good health for all the family. What ends with E and starts with A? Clap your hands and hear me say Upper Vitae, Upper Vitae.
Upper Vitae Health Supplements. Now available at leading chemists and health food stores nationwide. arborvitae.com.au.
Upper Vitae.
you can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes after 6, let's get into the news headlines on this Friday morning. The European Union is disappointed it wasn't told in advance about the new nuclear security deal announced between the US, UK and Australia. France has described the pact as a stab in the back as it loses a $90 billion contract to build conventionally powered subs for the Australian Navy. The agreement will enable Australia to build nuclear-powered submarines using technology provided by the United States. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell says member states will need to assess the implication.
We will explore ways to ensure an enhanced naval deployment by our member states in the region. We will assess the opportunity of establishing maritime areas of interest in the Indo-Pacific and engage with our partners in the region.
The Garn has introduced its first ever day trip. The operator will be taking guests on a culinary journey through the Clare Valley. 4 trips have been announced departing October and November.
Awesome.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good because going on the Garn has always been like a bit of a commitment.
Yeah,
and reasonably axy as well. Not that it's
totally
not value for money, but the idea of a day trip, that sounds good.
What a fantastic concept.
So it's not overnight.
No,
it's just tooling around on the train for the day.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, a man's been arrested after 2 firearms were discovered at a Lonsdale property. Police swarmed the property yesterday, allegedly firing a loaded handgun, a rifle with ammunition and prescribed drug equipment. 53-year-old man will be charged with aggravated firearm offences. He was refused bail and will front court today. New study has found children rarely experience longer-term symptoms from COVID-19 than 12 weeks. This is good news. The Murdoch Children's Research Institute has found the most common ailments, which last up to 3 months, were headache, fatigue, and difficulty concentrating. But the long COVID, the 12 months later you're still feeling like death, doesn't seem to be something that affects young kids.
It's heartening.
Victoria has reached 70% single-dose COVID vaccine coverage, prompting an easing of restrictions in lockdown Melbourne. 2 people from different households will be able to catch up for coffee or a picnic. Picnics have suddenly become a big thing in this country.
What if you don't like picnics?
Well, then you as they say, you're out of luck. But people who are fully vaccinated can gather in groups of 5. So something more if you're vaccinated. Otherwise, you've just got to have a picnic for 2. Queensland has become the 5th state in the country to legalise voluntary assisted dying. The majority of MPs voted in support of the bill last night, 61 to 30, after days of emotional debate. New laws will take effect in January 2023. 18 after 6, we'll have a look at the weather for Friday and the weekend. Yes, how good a day was yesterday.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Just magnificent.
Bit blowy.
Yeah.
Late in the piece.
Yeah.
Fucking have a bit of a whinge,
Okay.
but it is spring.
Well, you're not going to love today then. Today will be a top of 22. Not particularly rainy, but there will be winds north to northeasterly. We'll get up to 40 k's an hour. It will shift west to southwesterly in the middle of the day, so it'll be blustery again because there is some cool weather coming over the weekend. 17 the top for Saturday with a mill of rain. Sunday will be 20 with another mill. Monday, wet start to the week and cool too, just 15 with up to 3 mils of rain. Tuesday 16, Wednesday 17. But again, Thursday's the pick of the week, 22 next week. And no rain in sight and the wind looks to be pretty reasonable as well.
Hey, now we failed to mention at the start of the show that it being Friday, of course, it is also Meat Tray Friday.
Of course it is.
And inspired by our upcoming interview about the return of Packed to the Rafters.
Well, open up your mind and see.
So you can continue now with Packed to the Rafters theme underneath what you've got to say.
Of course. Which TV show would you bring back?
Well, they got the whole cast back together.
Yeah, they've restarted. We shouldn't give too much away, but they've gone on a bit of a tree change.
Exactly.
They've moved to rural Australia.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Thanks to Barmawink Butchers, more than just a butcher shop. Meal solutions for your everyday. 378 Findon Road, Kidman Park. Who would you give the Back to the Rafters treatment to? Get the whole cast back together, get the original writers, and they're going to come up with a new range of storylines for a bit of a Where Are They Now? I like the idea. 8223 AAA. You can win yourself a meat tray in the process. Text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line as well. 0448 08 1395.
I want Cop Shop to come back.
Cop Shop?
Yeah, I loved that show as a kid. Particularly loved Linda Stoner. I think I must have been a teenager when I was into that show. She became an animal liberationist after that.
Is that right?
Yeah, off sort of chaining herself to fur seals and lying down on the road to stop bilbies being trammelled with land clearing and so on. She's a very, very passionate animal rights person. But yeah,
all right,
Linda Stoner.
Let's take a call. First entry for the Metro this morning. Frank in Barossa Valley. Morning, Frank.
G'day, guys. They should bring the old classics back. Kingswood Country.
Yeah,
that show would get. I reckon that would break about probably 50 different laws in 2021.
My
show.
sports book running that I had there at 5:55 had the first caller saying Kingswood Country at $1.05. Actually, it was probably worse than bank interest for that first
Frank.
call through. So thank you, Frank. Got us up and running. We got some texts coming in at the moment on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line as well. Andrew says if the federal government had given the contract to the South Australian Submarine Corp to start with, we wouldn't have insulted the French government, and it would have saved us $400 million.
Probably more than that, actually.
Well, so sunk
about
costs...
$2 billion spent already.
Yeah, sunk costs is over $2 billion. Rob says, sorry for France, Manu was unable to go underwater on SAS, so submarines might not be their thing. I didn't see that. Did Manu have a problem in the depths, did he?
I thought Manu would have been quite buoyant.
Maybe that was the issue.
He's got a lot of tats, Manu. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, chef, they're sort of cool dudes, aren't they?
You've got a tat, have you?
No, come on. Simon in Plimpton, good morning.
Yeah, g'day guys, how you going?
Good night.
We haven't seen any new runs of The Simpsons lately, and like Pack to the Rafters, maybe Homer could relocate to Adelaide and become a nuclear submarine.
Oh,
that's a good idea.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now that's a Meat Tray Friday
That's
entry.
a good entry.
Thank you,
That's a
Simon.
really good entry.
Inspired by Back to the Rafters, what would you bring back TV show-wise? And if you can come up with a storyline for it, I can tell you, it puts you right up there in the Meat Tray consideration. 8223 0000 the number. We're going to turn our attention to sport with Tom Wren in just a moment.
You never know when that moment of inspiration will strike. It's often when you're in the middle of something. But when it does, you just know. Like right now. The Mazda Moment mid-season event is on, which means you can enjoy exceptional value on new Mazdas across the range. The Mazda Moment mid-season event. Don't miss your moment. Visit your Mazda dealer today.
It's the Super Smeg sale at Adelaide Appliance Gallery. Save on Smeg for 10 days only. Get up to $2,000 cash back on Smeg Classic and Smeg Victoria. Now's the time to reinvent your kitchen with up to $2,000 cash back on Smeg. Adelaide Appliance Gallery offer dedicated support from delivery to servicing, so you always get the best out of your appliances. Hurry! The Super Smeg sale is only from September 16 to 26. Head to Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr. Dishwasher. T's and C's apply.
Did you know that your COVID-19 vaccination is now closer than you think?
This is really good news. It's because your local pharmacist at National Pharmacies is administering AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccinations as part of the government's vaccination program. You don't need a prescription. One of National Pharmacy's qualified health professionals can administer the vaccine for you.
I reckon about a year ago, David, you and I were saying pharmacy should be able to give the vaccine.
Yeah,
we got here eventually, and the good people of National Pharmacies couldn't be better positioned to deliver it. The pharmacists at National Pharmacies will give you the vaccine in the comfort of a private room where you can relax. It's quick and easy. They've got 19 locations around SA offering the AstraZeneca vaccination so far. So 19 easy places to get your vaccination against COVID-19.
And not to mention the vaccination is free and it's available now. So make your booking today at one of your local National Pharmacy stores by visiting nationalpharmacies.com.au.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide Tech Guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Scam alert. If your phone has been getting dodgy looking texts, do not hit that link. Statistics show these scams have cost Australians over $70 million so far this year. A lot of these scams target people over the age of 65. So what do? Choose a comprehensive and reputable internet security software package that also covers your devices. Trend Micro Device Security protects all forms of devices. It stops viruses, malware, ransomware and spyware attacks. It also identifies dangerous messages on your device. Harvey Norman has a great deal on Trend Micro. Tell a Harvey Norman staff member the Adelaide Tech Guy sent you in and receive 2 years of Trend Internet Security for the price of 1 year.
Check out these great offers at 5AA.com.au. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Pretty girls are everywhere. Think of me and I'll be there.
25 minutes after 6. Excuse me, I was having some technical difficulties.
Will tangled himself in the microphone cable. He looked like one of those Chinese gymnasts in the Olympics holding a ribbon. He was flailing the cord around his head.
I've been sitting in these studios for a long, long time, and I've never quite had that happen to me before. I almost got asphyxiated live on the air.
I know.
We've come out of an ad break.
Strangled yourself.
Yeah, that would have been hard to explain for you.
That's right. You've been working with me for 7 years, mate.
Well,
everyone's got a breaking point. I don't know. Probably feel a lot longer than it will.
And it is breakfast radio, so in that vein, what you do, you have to move on very quickly. So as my last breath escapes, we'd go, save up to $800 on Select Asco Washer Dryer Packages, Adelaide Appliance Gallery, the home of Mr. Dishwasher. Good morning, Tom Rand.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Great song as well, Seasons in the Sun. Terry Jacks, I think.
Yeah, love that song.
Good song.
Great.
Anyway, let's move on. It's all getting a bit silly now, the silly season starting, isn't it? The trade period hasn't begun, but there's a real battle on at the moment between the Crows and Port Adelaide for Jordan Dawson. Going to be fascinating. And look, my understanding is that he has met with Crows officials. He's had a tour, and he's even, I'm hearing, had a medical. And Port
Adelaide, medical?
Yeah, Port Adelaide.
Had a medical? Whatever medical if you're just being sounded out? That's good news, isn't it?
Well, I think the Crows are they've had the first impression. Port have still got to meet with him. So they have, and Ken Hinkley has landed.
Sure, that's not totally necessary.
Yeah. But I think there's a few things going in the Crows' favour. They do have more cap space. There's more opportunity there, to come in straight away. And he's a Crows man. He adored Mark Rasciuto growing up, who was his favourite player.
We gets to hang around with him a lot now.
Well, that's it. If he goes to the Crows, so
he's there all the time.
I think the Crows, they've had the first impression from all reports has gone very well. I think they're in the box seat at the moment.
Your temptation is to sort of gloss over that in you're a professional sports. But could you imagine you grow up dreaming of being a footballer because, in part, you love watching a bloke play. He was your favourite as a kid. Then your dream comes true, you're in the league, and then that guy says, I want you to play for my club. That'd be pretty tough. If you're your professional hero saying, no, I want you, you're good. I don't care what line of work you're in. That's got to be powerful.
Has to be impactful, doesn't it?
100%.
Like I said, the only thing is Ken Hinkley has got an extraordinary record of...
Yeah, they do. Port generally win these battles.
So he's a very good, come on board with me, selling the message and getting them on board.
That's one thing with all the discussion around Hinkley this week. You never get it from the players, do you?
No.
They love him.
Yeah.
They love that bloke so much.
Yeah.
And that's been a contrast with Adelaide over the last few years. There was clearly a group of players that didn't like Pike. Even poor old Sando at the very end there.
At the start, they loved him.
Yeah.
Then I think it turned sour pretty quick.
Yeah, it did.
What's your feeling at the moment on Dawson?
If I had to bet, and I do like a bet, Will.
Yeah, you've been known to have the old one.
You got him in a multi with 9 other sporting events, have you, John?
And that's the problem. Yeah, you get 8 of them, but you miss that in the ninth one, and you go, I nearly got it.
Bloody Galatasaray.
Yeah, exactly. That Canadian ice hockey team. They let me down again.
That's
right. If I had to bet, I'd go with the Crows. Right now,
yeah, okay.
Really?
I would be on Adelaide's horse.
Brenny, Rowie last night in the sports show was getting the odd text from people who claim to be in the know, saying it was looking very good for Adelaide.
Yeah.
So
really,
but there's a bit to play out.
Well, he's still got to visit Port, hasn't he?
Exactly. And that's significant.
So that's a big part of the equation.
He might go there and go, this club is unreal.
Yeah, can't the Crows just take him away for the weekend?
Or hold him hostage.
Yeah, basically.
Lock him up in a bunker somewhere.
Yeah. Just take him out to some long lunch. We're going to celebrate. Then we just, and then he just gets put into a Toyota Hi-Ace and driven to the Clare Valley with a red, blue and yellow sack on his head.
And until you sign...
Is that legal?
Well...
I mean,
I think all's fair in love and war between Adelaide and Port.
Good on you, Red.
Good on you. Thanks
Tom.
boys. We'll see what I reckon. Look, we should have a decision very early next week.
Okay.
Very early next week.
Yeah, okay. That'll be good. Cool.
Thanks, boys.
So do 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances, Adelaide Appliance Gallery, the home of Mr. Dishwasher.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible shower in 22 with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Peak hour hit too hard? For an RAA-approved crash repair, contact Premier Panel Services.
France has accused Australia over leaving it out in the cold over a new submarine deal, scrapping the already existing $90 billion deal. More from Nine's Brett McLeod.
Speaking at Westminster, Boris Johnson says he has no hesitation about trusting Australia, a fellow maritime democracy joined by blood and history. But France's foreign minister had a not surprisingly different view. We created a relationship of trust with Australia, he said, and that trust has been broken, describing the broken submarine deal as a stab in the back. And for good measure, Joe Biden's actions in the secret deal, he said, reminded him of Donald Trump.
While Defence Minister Peter Dutton and Foreign Minister Marise Payne have just wrapped up meetings with their counterparts in Washington, D.C., it's understood in principle deals have been struck to station more US troops in the northern part of Australia. Mr Dutton has long been calling for the move and was asked why Australia might need some extra soldiers in the top end.
We stand with our neighbours in the Indo-Pacific to ensure enduring peace, and this collaboration makes it a safer region. That's the reality, and no amount of propaganda can dismiss the facts.
It's now mandatory for aged care staff to have had at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. The decision was made by National Cabinet, but it's believed almost 6% of staff still haven't had the shot. Health Services Union Secretary Gerard Hayes says the sector can't afford to lose any workers.
Who looks after the people and the residents in these facilities? It is not an area that we have a huge amount of luxury of numbers.
Melburnians will experience some small freedoms after 70% of Victoria received its first dose of a vaccine. Fully vaccinated people will be able to picnic in groups of 5, while travel and exercise limits have been extended to 10 kilometres. It comes a day after the state recorded its highest daily increase in numbers since August last year. Queensland has become the 5th state to legalise voluntary assisted dying, with legislation passing state parliament overnight. More from Nine's Laura Anderson.
It's been a divisive and emotive issue, but Queensland Parliament has agreed to legalise voluntary assisted dying. The bill passed 61-30 after MPs from both major parties were granted a conscience vote. It means from 2023, Queenslanders suffering from a terminal illness that's expected to cause death within 12 months will be able to choose to end their life. It'll need to be signed off on by 2 doctors. Deputy Opposition Leader David Janetsky attempted to amend the bill, introducing 54 clauses. However, all of them were defeated. Private hospitals run by religious organisations will have the right to choose not to provide euthanasia, but they must not hinder a person's access to it.
And the GAN has launched its first ever day trip. The operator will be taking guests on a culinary journey through the Clare Valley. 4 trips have been announced, departing in October and November. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide captain Rory Sloane says he's hopeful the Crows can lure Sydney defender Jordan Dawson to the club. The 24-year-old has already told the Swans he wants to move back to SA, but Port Adelaide is also in the frame to sign him. Sloane confirming to Rowie he has already spoken to Dawson.
Yeah, I've spoken to him. I think he might have met with the club today. But yeah, it's from what I've heard and spoken to people, seems like absolutely ripping person.
The AFL's new general manager of football thinks there's an umpire emergency at grassroots level. Brad Scott says umpire numbers aren't keeping up with the growth in participation.
We need to create pathways so young boys and girls see it as an occupation, something they can do. And we're going to have a looming crisis unless we attract more umpires to the game. And a big part of attracting umpires to the game is the way they're perceived at the elite level. So, yeah, there's a fair bit of work to do there.
Australian swimmer Shayna Jack has had a win at the Court of Arbitration for Sport. An appeal against the leniency of a 2-year ban for doping has been dismissed. The Commonwealth Games gold medalist is free to return to competitive swimming. Well, full-time in Europa League action this morning. Leicester's blown a 2-goal lead before being held to a 2-2 draw against Napoli. Earlier, West Ham had a 2-0 win against Dinamo Zagreb, but it was heartbreak for Ange Postecoglou's Celtic as they gave up a 2-goal lead before going down 4-3 to Spanish side Real Betis. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now to the weather.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A possible shower in 22, a shower or two tomorrow 17, a possible shower Sunday 20, then cooler on Monday with showers 15. At the moment 19. More news as it happens on 5AA.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. Flood of texts coming in on the Telstra Stormount Barker text line this morning. Nominations for the meat tray, thanks to Bar Mill Oink Butchers. More than just a butcher shop. Meal solutions for your everyday. 378 Findon Road at Kidman Park. We're asking you, inspired by the return of Pack to the Rafters, with Back to the Rafters released on Amazon today. We're chatting with Eric Thomson in about 20 minutes' time. What's the show that you'd get remade? And by remade, I mean with the original cast, with writers, the whole shebang. It's just not a reimagination. This is the original people all back together doing it again. We'll get to those texts, but first Andrew and Craigmore's called in. Morning, Andrew.
Oh, g'day, guys. Keeping up with the ways of the day, the last few days, we've got the young ones. They're all going to nuclear submarine school. But the hippie, he wants to build a fully green submarine
Neil.
with sails and runs on solar power.
Oh, that is sensational. And again,
Rick would be protesting against it too.
He would be, because it'd be all
Had enough Nazi, or do you want some more?
Again, bonus points for anyone who enters the meat tray.
Or he'd write a poem about it.
With a continuation of the storyline. Or they can come up with what the new storyline will be, like they had to do for Back to the Rafters.
Pollution all around. Sometimes up, sometimes down. Pollution. Are you coming to my town?
Someone has voted for the Munsters to come back. Thank you, Judith.
Quite a bit of number 96 as well.
Yes. Rob says, how about a Yes Prime Minister with a modern update with Boris Johnson character?
As himself.
As he's playing himself.
Yeah.
That'd be just
and
tremendous.
Introducing Boris Johnson as himself.
Oh, I'd watch that. That'd be great. Absolutely. Okay.
Well, here we go. Here we go.
This is the last day. There's 5 minutes and 6 seconds remaining for you to get in the running for David and Will's Grand Final Bonanza. 8223 the number. We're going to put as many people as we can in the running today, because Monday we're announcing a winner. It could be you. It could be Con. Good morning, Con.
Good morning, mate. Ferryden Park.
Ferryden Park, thank you. Trevor, good morning.
Portland along the south.
Lovely. Thank you, Trevor. Let's go to Carol. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, Carol from Niriutpa.
Oh, what a lovely player of South
Lovely,
Australia.
lovely
I mean, they all are, but, you know.
Niri's good.
Jeff, good morning.
Yep, Jeff from Fulham Gardens, long-time suffering Melbourne member.
Count the really? Oh, Jeff, mate, well, we hope you can win. But
Count the D's.
We've hoped before and we've got it wrong, so, don't rely on that. Christine, good morning.
Good morning.
Where are you, Christine?
I'm in Hallett Cove.
Oh, magnificent. Oh, you know what? A lot of people south of the city really want to go to the football.
Heaps of Cove residents.
Absolutely. Carl, good morning. Where are you?
Morning, I'm in Semaphore.
Carl, good on you, mate.
Yeah, I love Semaphore. Okay, let's go to Sue. Good morning. We won't comment on all the suburbs. Where are you, Sue?
Good morning, I'm from Sedberton.
Okay, who are you going for in the grand final, Sue? Melbourne.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we're running at 92% Melbourne. I just made that stat up. Simon, good morning.
G'day, fellas. Simon, I'm from Evanston Park. Going for the D.
Good on you, Simon. Thank you. Let's go to Susan. Good morning, Susan.
Hi, guys. I'm at Craigburn Farm.
Thank you, Susan. Anthony, where are you?
Anthony from Prospect. Go the D's.
Lovely work. Daryl, good morning.
Hi, Dave and Will. Daryl from Port Adelaide. We're going for the D.
Daryl from
Daryl.
You're going for the D's. You're from Port Adelaide. What happened?
Oh, no, I'm a Crows supporter. I live down Port. I barrack for the Crows.
Daryl.
Good on you, mate.
Mate, you're the Crows ambassador to Port Adelaide. You're like the Dave Lloyd in reverse. Catherine, last one. Morning, Catherine.
Morning, I'm from Nan.
Nan.
Good on you, Catherine. Last one in for the 6 to 7 o'clock hour. There's 2 more chances to be put in the running before 9 o'clock today. 2 minutes a time when you hear Bonanza. How many we get in there?
11. 11 lucky people. Con, Trev, Kerry, Jeff, Christine, Carl, Sue, Simon, Susan, Daryl and Catherine.
All right, magnificent work.
All of them with a chance.
Time to check traffic. Glenelg BMW now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
Good morning. At Seaton got a breakdown on Tapley's Hill Road near Grange Road. Gilman burst water main there, Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. Prospect Road has restrictions in place after that fire yesterday. That's near Kinsale Avenue. And Crayford's got a lane closed on the freeway down track. Speed restrictions in both directions. Cameras this morning, Barracks Road, Hope Valley, Cormac Road, Wingfield and Gorge Road at Athelston. Anaconda's Grand Gazebo sale is on now. All gazebos by Coleman, June 4-wheel drive and Spinifex, half price. Don't miss the Grand Gazebo sale this weekend at Anaconda. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hey, it's Mark Bickley. For 20 years, the team at Jarvis Toyota has been helping South Australian families keep that "oh, what a feeling" feeling. Over that time, Jarvis has put their support behind Variety, the children's charity, as platinum sponsor of the Variety 4-wheel drive adventure. And they've got plenty more support to give. If you're about to rediscover the road, make sure you take a proper test drive from the range at Jarvis Toyota. South Road, Clare Valley Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of support in 2021.
Feel the finals fever as the Sandful Statewide Super League Final Series continues at Adelaide Oval this Saturday. See Norwood take on South Adelaide in the first semi-final from 3:15, before the Bays go up against the Eagles in the second semi-final under lights from 7:15. Bring the boundary banter and continue your Sandful story. Round up your mates, get the kids, and head to the Sandful Statewide Super League Final Series this weekend. Get your tickets now from Ticketek. Visit sandful.com.au/finals for more info.
Now, if you're a snorer, if you suffer from cramps or restless legs, this could be the answer to all your problems, and we mean all your problems. Get yourself an Ultramatic adjustable bed.
Ultramatic beds are improving people's lives all over SA. Great quality, super comfortable mattresses. Those mattresses are made right here. They combine with outstanding German technology in the electric motors. And they've even got this zero gravity position that the more I talk about, David, the more intrigued by it I am.
You just feel like you're floating on air.
Presumably.
Yeah, you just, you go into this zen-like state. Here's the best part. Because the Royal Show isn't going ahead, they now have lots of stock ready to go at show prices. You can get a fully adjustable single electric bed for just $2,499 delivered. That is an incredible saving.
You'll also receive up to 50% off selected ResMed CPAP products. And just so you know, the CPAP machines of today, these aren't your daddy's CPAP machines. That's what I was told, David. The before, loud, dingy, uncomfortable.
These are whisper quiet.
Whisper quiet. These are like the nuclear submarines of CPAP machines.
You don't even know they're there.
Exactly right.
Call into the Ultramatic showroom opposite Scotty's Motel. Sail on while stocks last.
It's incredible. Over 50% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. Don't miss your chance to join the fight and win big. The $3 million grand prize is a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade with $500,000 in the bank. You'll have no mortgage and no worries. Tickets won't last long. Get yours today at homelottery.com.au. Thank you for your support. Licence M14053.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Jump in my car.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
16 minutes to 7. Dan in Woodcroft with a Meat Tray Friday entry says, "Morning, boys. The only show that needs to be rebooted with the original cast is the greatest TV show of all time, Seinfeld." Thank you, Dan.
That would be good.
Barmer Wonk Butchers, more than just a butcher shop. Meal solutions for your everyday. 378 Findon Road at Kidman Park. There was that great series of Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David where they get the cast together and basically it was like a reunion. It was a reunion inside another show. It was fantastic.
How evil is Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I love that show. It's so good.
Amazing.
We'll get to some more of your Meat Tray Friday entries in just a moment. First, we'll check in with SAPOL, Senior Constable Dave Muir on the line. Morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Dave, 2 robberies overnight, one at Theberton and one in Salisbury.
Yeah, this one at Theberton, that was just after 11:30 last night. We were called to Kintore Street after reports of a man who'd been walking along the road, was approached by 2 men. One of these pair then struck the victim in the head with an empty bottle before they stole his lanyard and ran off. Petey Stoic and his handler tracked the pair to nearby Rose Street at Mile End, where one suspect was arrested. The second suspect ran off, but we grabbed him a short time later near Adelaide High, where we also recovered the victim's lanyard. Now, 32 and a 44-year-old man, both been charged with aggravated robbery, refused bail. They'll front the Adelaide Magistrates Court later today.
Good on you, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank you for
Dave.
that.
Have a good week,
from
mate.
SAPOL. Let's talk weather. Vince Rowlands is the senior forecaster at the Bureau. Morning, Vince.
Morning, guys.
What's happening over the weekend?
Yeah, look, not too bad. A little bit of shower activity and certainly cooler conditions, but not expecting a lot of rainfall, just some intermittent showers. But today is not looking too bad. We did actually have a little bit of mid-level thunderstorm activity go over the city around midnight and early hours of this morning. Didn't really produce much rainfall, but certainly just some lightning and thunder. But today, mostly sunny for the rest of the day, looking at a top of 22 degrees, and we have got some fresh north to northwesterly winds today, getting up to about 40 kilometres an hour at times during the morning. But we will see a west to southwesterly change coming through around the middle of the day, so we'll start to see temperatures dropping a little bit as we get into the late afternoon and then overnight. So tomorrow, a bit cooler, top of 17 degrees, just a shower or two around, maybe up to a millimetre or so. And then on Sunday, again, looking at possible showers later in the day. But warms up a touch tomorrow as the winds just initially go back to the northwest, so 20 degrees for Sunday. Then we've got another front coming through late Sunday into Monday, so we'll see cooler conditions during Monday. Still a bit more shower activity expected on Monday, so a top of 15, and maybe a little bit more rainfall expected up to about 3 millimetres. And then we go into a bit of an easing trend and temperatures starting to warm up towards the end of the week. So we've got 16 for Tuesday, 17 for Wednesday, and then 22 degrees on Thursday.
Good stuff, Vince.
Thank you,
for
Vince.
that.
Vince Rowlands, senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau. Let's just give the text line a little tickle.
I like this one from Tessa in Paraka. She says, hey, Metro Friday, Pamela and I, we decided yonks ago that the only show deserving a reboot is The Professionals. Bow chicka wow wow. Like that.
Instantly recognisable.
They'd be getting on a bit now, The Professionals.
Yes.
I think they'd have trouble getting into the car by jumping over the door. Remember they used to do that?
Yeah, but so would the audience. So would the audience that enjoyed it. So, you know.
See Brody do his hammy trying to get into the car. Oh, I've had a fall. I tell you what, that'd still be hard though, and they'd still look good in those sort of shark skin suit style jackets they used to get around in. Harry in Queenstown says he'd remake Faulty Towers, except he'd set it in a COVID quarantine hotel, and all the leaks would be Basil's doing, but of course he'd blame Manuel.
Manuel.
I want to say Manuel. Totally forgot to speak Spanish there.
Again, bonus points if you can stitch together what the reunion storyline would be.
A Faulty Towers quarantine hotel would actually be terrific.
Be terrific.
I wonder how many offers John Cleese has had to do a one-off special.
He would have been offered eye-watering amounts of money. Like he would have been made the you can't walk away from this deal, and he walked away from it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. He would have been a right... Imagine this days of streaming where they're throwing billions of dollars at anything that'll get people to subscribe. So they try to target large groups of fan groups, and this is why we get reunion shows. Why Amazon got Back to the Rafters, because there's a whole bunch of people that love Back to the Rafters that probably aren't on streaming services. This is the gateway in.
Yeah.
Imagine how many people that would be for Faulty Towers if it was a reunion.
They had that Friends reunion the other day, which was just them sitting around on stage
That wasn't a
talking.
reunion show. It was just like a sort of in conversation with the Botoxed remains of the Friends cast.
That's right, exactly. Some of them looking eerily identical to 1989.
Well, no,
except their mouths don't work properly because they've had so many operations.
The little bit of that I saw, it looked like an exercise. I got a sense that, a bit like there are great footballers and then there are just okay footballers, but they can all be considered, they're professionals all together. Plastic surgeons are the same. Like whoever Jennifer Aniston uses, well played.
Yeah,
You're the Brownlow medalist. David Schwimmer,
not so much.
Might have been a cut-priced alternative. I'm not sure. It just didn't look like it was all working naturally.
He was on holidays in Phuket and he thought, why not?
He had that feel to it.
I can't believe it's that cheap. You just got to go down Pak Pong Lane and turn left next to the noodle cart and he'll be out in 3 hours' time. Bit of swelling.
Cost him $5,000 and the ability to ever emote again.
That's right. Cost him 5,000 baht.
Oh, gee. It's 10 minutes to 7. The inspiration for this chat, not about plastic surgery, but rather about bringing back television shows, is Back to the Rafters. It is on Amazon today. And we'll be chatting with Eric Thomson from Back to the Rafters right after this.
The new Kia Niro hybrid SUV has landed. It combines a smooth and efficient blend of petrol and electric power without the need for external charging. It's a no-compromise SUV with outstanding fuel economy, low emissions, tons of comfort, and impressive versatility. The new Kia Niro hybrid SUV, available for immediate delivery. Check with your local Kia dealer for details.
Kia. Movement that inspires.
At Coles, get your weekly specials in 90 minutes with Click and Collect Rapid. For a $5 collection fee, shop up to 40 products online, spend $30 or more, and collect your weekly specials with Click and Collect Rapid. Coles, value the Australian way. T's and C's apply.
Sold by McGain again.
And as you know, it's really important to get along to all these open inspections because you could miss out.
You could, so don't.
You don't
Tomorrow from 11 till 11:30. Get there at 11. That's what I'm saying. Catch up with Mike Dobbin and Zoe Ball. They're opening 4 Madigan Crescent in Woodcroft. The perfect home for young and growing families, featuring 3 bedrooms, formal lounge, open-plan living area, good-sized kitchen, pitched entertaining area, and it's a bargain. $399 to $438K.
Good price for an entry-level home. That's terrific. Also, tomorrow from 11 to 11:30, Mike and Zoe's team are opening 3/169 Gorge Road Paradise. This beautifully presented 2-bedroom homette features heating and cooling, a formal lounge and dining room, plus lock-up secure parking, located in a neat and well-looked-after group, close to shops and amenities, just $349 to $369K.
For all the info, take a look at these properties and all the McGain listings at realestate.com.au.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. After years of snoring like a train, the missus sent me for a CPAP Direct sleep test. I'm sleeping quiet and waking up refreshed.
CPAP Direct, now open at 600 Port Road, Allenby Gardens. From sleep studies to the latest CPAP gear at Adelaide's best prices. Sale on now. Veterans also welcome.
Find your local store at cpap.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
David, when you truly love a television program, and it's been a big part of your life for a number of years, and it one day goes away, I think everyone's been in a spot before where you've dared to dream what it'd be like if it did come back. Well, for fans of Back to the Rafters, today is the day that it's back. Back to the Rafters is available today on Amazon Prime Video, and we're joined by Dave Rafter himself, Eric Thomson. Eric, good morning to you, mate, and thanks for joining us on 5AA Breakfast.
Good morning, how are you?
We're well.
We're excited, and I reckon a lot of our listeners are excited as well, mate. How long is it since we last saw the Rafter family?
Well, we finished the filming at the end of 2012, and it went off air, I think, about May 2013, maybe a little bit later. But so it's been a good 8 years, I think, about 8 years. So, which is enough time, because if we'd come back any sooner, it would have been, no, not these guys again. So now people are genuinely interested to know what's been going on in our lives. And, well, you know, I presume so. I've been really surprised by the amount of excitement around the show's release, so which is a good sign.
This is one of the nice things about having these streaming services that are creating original content now, is that you can do things for fan bases and existing programs like Back to the Rafters. There's thousands and thousands of Australians that absolutely love the show and have an appetite for its return. How did it come about from your perspective? How long has this been in the works for?
Well, really, as soon as we finished, there was discussions about, you know, maybe getting the band back together at some point. But you know, we were all heading off and doing different things, and once we all dispersed, getting us back together was difficult. And then really Amazon Prime came on board, and once they came on board, it suddenly became a much more serious consideration. and roughly around about the same time, there was all openings in all of our kind of schedules, and it managed. Well, yeah, it was just a turn of events basically. But the will was always there. But like I sort of joked about before, we felt that, you know, coming back too soon might just we wouldn't have enough story, and the idea of returning to a family and finding out what they've been doing and having enough of a gap. So it just all of those things lined up, and the opportunity presented itself.
So without spoiling any surprises, what's the family been up to in the intervening years?
Well, you know, I think it's kind of in the trailer. I'll tell you as much as I can from in the trailer. But yeah, basically, you know, at the end of Rafters, Dave and Julie headed off on a trip around Australia with their young daughter, and we just discover that during the course of that, or towards the end of that experience, they lob into a fictional town called Barradina, and they create this new life in the country away from Sydney. And we meet them basically they're heading back into the city to see all their city-bound family, and it kind of cracks open this dilemma for Julie, because she really misses the kids, but Dave really loves his life in the country, and suddenly we've got a bit of a potential schism in this beautiful marriage between Dave and Julie. But you know, now that the kids have left home, are their life goals the same? Is the future that they see for themselves the same? And it's a very real kind of issue with a lot of kind of empty nesters.
I thought you were going to say that they packed up, travelled around Australia, and got stuck on the New South Wales SA border due to border closures, and it was going to call the show really sort of real present day edge. Call it Stuck with the Rafters instead.
Yeah, well, Stuck with the Rafters. Well, look, that could be the next season. We never know. You never know. But that's right. I think that's a discussion that a lot of TV shows are having at the moment. Is like, how much do you actually? Or, you know, this was well written, and we got broken up by the pandemic because we started shooting in February, March last year, and then it all happened, and then we had to come back at the end of last year and finish the shooting. But there's a lot of people discussing, you know, when you make a show, do you refer to the pandemic? I think because a lot of people are still in it, the last thing you want to do is turn on the television and still be in it.
Yes.
You know, you want to have some kind of shows that somehow resemble a kind of normality that you're used to. I think it fills us all with a little bit of hope. And I think that's the thing with this show, is that there is a nostalgia factor in there, but it's kind of it's a bit of a, you know, aspirational kind of show in the fact that life is fairly normal for the Rafter family in terms of global pandemics and the like.
What's the plan for Back to the Rafters? Is it a set piece, short run series, or is there potential for there to be other series after this?
Well, there's always potential. Yeah, we've kind of discussed that as we've kept that open at this stage. You know, we've getting us back together for this first one was a big deal. So but I think there's always, when writers sit down and they kind of present ideas to Amazon Prime, I think they always project forward as to how they could see it going. So the door is wide open for more, but that decision hasn't been made yet. So so fingers crossed. I think after all the time it's taken us to get to this point, it'd be sad just to finish with one 6-episode run. So, but you never know.
Yeah,
that's show business. You just have to wait and see how we're embraced or re-embraced.
Well, you guys were number one for a very long time, for the better part of 6 years, and I think we've already had people this morning going, "You beauty," and as you said too, Eric, bit of escapism is always a good thing. So all the very best of luck for the return of Back to the Rafters.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
And it's, of course, inspired our meat tray this morning, thanks to Barmawonk Butchers, more than just a butcher shop, meal solutions for your everyday, 378 Findon Road, Kidman Park.
We're getting a whole stack of texts, plenty of quality entries. Sue in Christie's Beach says, "I would love to resurrect Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. I love Lucy, is the best of all time, and I still crack up when I see snippets." Brett in Aberfoyle Park says, "Morning, fellas. I'd like to nominate the series The Rat Patrol to make a comeback." I can't remember that one.
Oh, I'm not familiar with The Rat Patrol.
Signs off Khan the D's. Everyone's on the D's, aren't they?
Yeah.
I reckon it's about 9 out of 10 people are going for the D's.
Seems to be that way. When someone writes it like that in a text, that makes me think that's a true heartbeat's true for the red and the blue D's fan.
Yeah. Now, Yuri, if you're listening, I want Yuri, my delivery driver mate, to call in and have a chat to Lucy off air. I want us to record Yuri saying, "Can the D's!" So whenever we talk about the D's, we can just hit a little button and have Yuri saying it.
More than happy with that. You've been doing it.
I love it. It cracks me up. Like I'll be down at Manny's getting the fruit and veg, and Yuri on this white van will pull up and he'll hang out the window, "Benno!" And then he always drives off in the top of his lungs, "Can the D's!" He just says it so well.
All right, we'll do that. We'll get that happening. We'll play
Yuri,
it. The other thing we're going to play in the next hour of the program is the Bonanza theme. It'll be 2 minutes and your penultimate chance to be put in the running to win tickets for David and Will's Grand Final Bonanza.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible shower in 22 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Hit. Car scuffle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services, RAA approved crash repairer.
Fury continues to grow in France over the broken submarine deal with Australia, with a senior minister describing it as a stab in the back. More from Nine's Brett McLeod.
Boris Johnson told the British Parliament AUKUS is not intended to be adversarial towards any other power. He was clearly talking about China, but could also have been referring to the French, whose fury over being blindsided by Australia's breaking of the submarine deal continues to fester. France's foreign minister describing it as a stab in the back, saying we created a relationship of trust with Australia. That trust has been broken. Adding Joe Biden's role in the brutal, unpredictable decision reminds him of Donald Trump.
While the Prime Minister denies accusations he's turned his back on WA, the federal government's chosen our state for the location of the Collins-class submarine maintenance program. WA Premier Mark McGowan says Scott Morrison has let the state down, but he's brushed off the criticism. A man has been charged over a servo robbery at Salisbury. Just before midnight, it's alleged he entered the servo on Salisbury Highway and threatened staff with a knife before fleeing on foot with a small amount of cash. Several hours later, police were called to a street in Salisbury Downs after a report a man with a knife was acting unusually. The 41-year-old was arrested and charged with aggravated robbery. A new report has revealed significant safety concerns on Australian building and construction sites. More from Nine's Lucy Gray.
The Hazard 2020 Safety Campaign has been examining the two most common sources of on-site incidents. In the 8 months to May this year, there were just over 100 mishaps involving scaffolding and mobile plants such as cranes. Almost a third resulted in serious or life-threatening injuries, but what's most concerning is the apparent decline in compliance, with more than half of audited companies failing to ensure scaffolding had been installed by a competent person.
Voluntary assisted dying has been legalised in Queensland following a historic vote in state parliament. 61 MPs voted in favour of the legislation and 30 were opposed.
The result of the division is ayes 61, noes 30. The question is resolved in the affirmative.
Under the laws, an adult who's dying from a terminal illness who meets strict criteria will be able to receive medical assistance to end their life. The laws take effect from January 2023. Australia has the second lowest number of COVID deaths per capita in the OECD. Health Minister Greg Hunt says the rate is 0.75 deaths per 100,000 people and is a sign the country's health measures are working. While Victoria's reached 70% single-dose vaccinations, prompting an easing of restrictions in lockdown Melbourne. Two people from different households will be able to catch up for a coffee or a picnic, but people who are fully vaccinated can gather in groups of 5. And the GAN has launched single-day trips to the Clare Valley as it struggles to operate interstate amid border closures. 4 trips have been released online with departure dates in October and November. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to $800 on selected Asco washer dryer packages. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you for that, Kendall. The race is on to secure the signature of Sydney defender Jordan Dawson. The 24-year-old has already signalled his intentions to return to SA, and the Crows and Port Adelaide are both interested. Still on footy, and outgoing Port Adelaide assistant coach Jared Schofield admits it was a tough decision to leave Alberton and head back to West Coast. He still had a year to run with the Power, but he told Rowie the new opportunity and a 3-year deal at the Eagles was something he couldn't refuse.
But for this role, in terms of strategy and stoppage at West Coast, was exciting and appealing, and I see it as a progression in my coaching and aspirations. If I ever one day want to put me hat in the ring for a senior job in the years to come.
Cricket Australia is confident England will send a full-strength cricket side for the Ashes this summer. There are suggestions some players will boycott the tour over our quarantine measures. In Europa League football this morning, West Ham has beaten Dinamo Zagreb 2-0, Leicester and Napoli drew 2-2. And in the brand new Europa Conference League, a competition to give mid-table teams a taste of European football, Tottenham had a 2-2 draw against Rennes. To golf, American Chas Reavie holds the lead at 7 under in the opening round of a PGA event in California. Cameron Percy is the best of the Aussies, currently 5 shots back. And week 2 of the NRL final series gets underway tonight, with the Sydney Roosters taking on Manly for a spot in the prelim final. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
Good morning. At Seaton, got a breakdown on Tapley's Hill Road near Grange Road. Gilman burst watermain there this morning. That's on Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. Crayford's got a lane closed on the freeway down track. Speed restrictions in both directions. And Prospect Road has restrictions in place after a fire yesterday. That's near Kinser Avenue. Look out for cameras this morning. Foster's Road, Hillcrest, Grand Junction Road at Hope Valley and Lady Gowrie Drive at Osborne. At Telstra, there's more ways to get your new phone. Pay now or pay later, plus save extra with trade-in on selected phones. Visit Telstra today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A possible shower in 22 today, a shower or two tomorrow, 17. A possible shower Sunday, 20, then cooler with showers on Monday, 15. At the moment, 19. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Some of them green alligators and long neck geese.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 7, Finance Minister Simon Birmingham coming up very shortly. We'll talk sub-steel with him. We'll whip around and get a sense of how the rest of the world reacted in just a moment. Then after 7:30 today, South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall, the opposition leader Peter Malinauskas too will be on the program. Later in the morning, Police Commissioner Grant Stevens, Ryan Fitzgerald will be on the show. We'll talk grand final, footy and more. Big morning ahead on 5AA Breakfast as the sun comes up on what looks like a lovely Adelaide day, at least for now before the wind becomes a factor. I think, to a person, we pretty much had somewhere in the order of 90% of the text yesterday make reference to China in some way, to the AUKUS announcement, as it happened live at around this time on the program yesterday. Well, it didn't take too long for us to get an official reaction from the Chinese government. There was a foreign ministry spokesperson with translation courtesy of Sky News.
It severely damages regional peace and stability, intensifies the arms race, and jeopardizes international efforts promoting the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. This is a highly irresponsible act.
Yeah, predictable tone that came out of China.
I read a really good piece this morning in The Australian by a guy called Rowan Callick talking about the headline, "The greatest threat to Beijing is Xi Jinping," saying that all the incoming that China's getting comes from its new hardline approach. And you know, hearing that disingenuous remark yesterday where China is now sort of standing there in feigned disbelief, sort of mouth agape going, why is everybody being so unpleasant to us? This column includes this quote from President Xi Jinping, who addressed 70,000 young members of the Chinese Communist Party in Tiananmen Square for the party's centenary on July 1. This was his quote to the crowd: "We will never allow anyone to bully, oppress or subjugate China. Anyone who dares try to do that will have their heads bashed bloody against the Great Wall of Steel forged by over 1.4 billion Chinese people." You'd say it's remarks like that.
Yeah, that tends to inflame things.
Yeah.
We don't have quite such an easy explanation for the damage that's been done with our French counterparts. Here is the French Foreign Minister, Jean-Yves Le Drian.
C'est vraiment en bon français. It is really a stab in the back We built a relationship of trust with Australia, and this trust has been betrayed, and I'm angry today and bitter about this breach. This is not done between allies, especially when there's been 2 years of negotiations for this contract.
The bit when he says this is not done between allies is a critique that extends beyond Australia. It's some terse words for Joe Biden as well, because the view in France is this is not just a commercial contract that's broken down between two parties. It was France is effectively beyond the boundaries of Europe, their major allies colluding to make that contract something that Australia was in a position to break. Because if the US and the UK hadn't agreed to supply the nuclear reactors for these submarines, and the US hadn't agreed to hand over the technology and the know-how to create them, we wouldn't have been in a position to walk away from this contract. So it took a lot of France's closest allies working together to bust up, what for them was one of the largest defence contracts they'd ever been a party to. So you understand the frustration in that part of the world.
Yeah, you do. Speaking, as we were earlier, of rogue states, interesting reaction yesterday out of Western Australia. Mark McGowan has had an absolute hissy fit about the fact that the feds have, as part of this arrangement, decided to ensure that full-cycle docking and maintenance of the existing submarines remains right here in Adelaide. Mark McGowan said, "We are so disappointed, so disappointed. The submarines are based in Western Australia, the crews are based here, and they live here, the industry's here, the shipbuilding and repair industries are stronger here, and they are internationally competitive." Well, sorry, Mark, you can have the grand final, we'll have the subs, thanks. But I think the funniest part of it is where he says that he attacks Morrison and says, "This decision was not made in the national interest." The national interest. He's always been a stickler for the national interest, hasn't he, Mark McGowan?
What nation is that, Mark?
I know, exactly. I think he means the nation of Western Australia.
Yeah, that's right.
Getting lectured by Mark McGowan about things not being in the national interest.
Well, look,
that's like Pauline Hanson accusing you of playing the race card.
The beauty of WA behaving like and acting like an entirely independent and sovereign state is that they can get their own navy. Just build one.
Well, they've probably got enough money.
Exactly.
Unnervingly, with all their iron ore.
They could
make $5 billion in GST. Money that was, in the good old days, used to head east.
Just to round this out, I wanted to play too a little grab from the US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, and I think this will resonate well with our audience and well with Australians. This is the thinking that underpins such a provocative move, and there's no two ways around it. In a geopolitical sense, this is a provocative move by Australia, the UK, and the United States. But here's why. It's about not getting pushed around on things like economic coercion.
The world saw China's aggressive response when Australia led calls for an inquiry into the origins of COVID-19. And Beijing has seen over the past months that Australia will not back down and that threats of economic retaliation and pressure simply will not work. I also want to reiterate what I've said before. The United States will not leave Australia alone on the field, or better yet, on the pitch, in the face of these pressure tactics.
This is a response outlined clearly by the US government to this is what happens when you say, well, we're going to try and make you bend the knee by virtue of cutting you off in a trade and economic sense. This is what happens. This is the response. Peter Dutton made some points overnight in an interview with Sky Australia that sounded eerily similar to that.
I think the propaganda that we've seen from a number of spokespersons or the media outlets that speak on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, frankly, I think they make the case for us. I think their comments are counterproductive and immature and frankly embarrassing. So what does Australia want? We want sustained peace in our region. We want that stability. That's been the success of the post-war period, and we need to make sure that endures.
The legacy of the 20th century is there's a couple of different ways you can make sure there's not a conflict between great states. You become economically independent, interdependent, should I say, where it's just not worth either party getting into anything because the prosperity of both countries relied on each other. We tried that first. That's fallen over. And you read between the lines of what Peter Dutton's saying right now. We've gone option 2, which in the 20th century was you make sure you've got enough stuff. You make sure you've got enough stuff that it's just not worth anyone's while to get into a scrap with you.
Yeah.
Deterrence. It was what underpinned what effectively was the peace of the Cold War, at least between the major players. You just need stuff that they go, well, you know what? Yeah, we might win, but at what cost and why? and it's just worth getting into. And that's, you read Peter Dutton, that we're beyond the whole let's try and be friends approach.
Yeah.
That sounded as over as I've ever heard it.
Yeah, totally. You know, my touchstone for this is the encounter I had on 5th Avenue, Joslin, last year with a young guy from the Chinese consulate when he came out, when I was talking to the neighbours, and he said, "Have you got permission to be here?" And I just looked at him and went, "From who, mate? Like, who? What?" "I'm just talking to the neighbours." And he goes, "Yeah, but have you got permission?" And I said, "From who?" And he said, "Well, from us or from the police or from the government." And I felt kind of sorry for the guy. I thought, that's just, you're seriously asking me that, aren't you? Like, and this is where all the, thinking back over the last 20 years, how many people have gone up there on trade expos and all of this sort of stuff that with the benefit of hindsight now looks like a triumph of hope over reality.
Well, we tried. But you have to try that first.
Yeah.
We should always try and engage before we shut the door.
So does China keep going down the path of being belligerent under Xi, or do they go, like, we risk turning into a bigger version of North Korea?
Well, I hope that's a concern to them, and hopefully they
doesn't sound like it at the moment.
It doesn't now, but maybe the seeds are being sown for a decade from now.
They need
There's
their
a
own
long-term game.
They need their own Gorbachev-style Glasnost era where they go, this is just getting a bit silly.
How do you feel about the news that Piers Morgan's found his new job, and he's going to be appearing on TV screens here in Australia?
How do they find these cretins, honestly? Where are the lulls? Hey, imagine the audition for Love Island. Can you speak in a completely incoherent, meaningless, moronic way for the next 30 seconds? Yeah. Where are the lulls? Where are the lulls? Where are the lulls? Hey, the vegetable lulls.
That's Piers Morgan, who, of course, sensationally quit his morning TV program. He's a columnist. He's been a newspaper editor in the UK. He's a bigger name in the UK. He took over from Larry King, hosting a TV talk show in the United States for a period of time that had, mixed reviews. He's a huge media personality right around the world, and his new job, having quit his TV career just recently, will be back with News Limited. He's going to be writing columns. He'll be appearing on Sky News Australia at least once a week. It's a daily TV show he'll be hosting every day. It'll be on weeknights in the UK, US and Australia. In Australia, it'll be on Sky News. So he's writing and columns for the New York Post, which is a Murdoch publication, and The Sun in the UK.
I thought the Rupert Murdoch comment, everything you need to know about Rupert Murdoch is contained in the one quote he made about Piers Morgan, because it shows the bloke's you can almost imagine him smirking and licking his lips going, this is really going to upset all of those trendies on Twitter. He said, Piers Morgan is the broadcaster every network wants and none of them are brave enough to hire. And he's hired him. All
right, let's check traffic. Glenelg BMW now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
At Seaton, got a breakdown on Tapley's Hill Road near Grange Road. Gilman burst water main there at Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. Crayford's got a lane closed on the freeway down track. Speed restrictions both directions. And Prospect Road has restrictions this morning. That's after that fire yesterday. It's near Kintore Avenue. Look out for cameras on the drive-in today. Barracks Road, Hope Valley. Gorge Road, Athelston. And Military Road at Largs North. From beauticians to removalists and everything in between, stop paying FPOS bills. No terminal rental, no merchant fees. Visit smartpay.com.au. Minimum turnover and T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
Our iconic and much-loved Women's and Children's Hospital is failing in its duty of care to patients in South Australia and beyond.
9 till 12 weekdays.
The situation has deteriorated further, and now a lack of resources, understaffing and space constraints threatens patients' safety and the morale of doctors and nurses who are overworked, stressed and burnt out.
SSA as Leon Biner. SSA as AA.
5AA's Tech Talk with your host, Adelaide tech guy Richard Pascoe. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Scam alert. If your phone has been getting dodgy looking texts, do not hit that link. Statistics show these scams have cost Australians over $70 million so far this year. A lot of these scams target people over the age of 65. Fortunately, there is a solution, and you'll find it at Harvey Norman. Norton 360 Premium has a unique SMS and Android-specific feature which targets this problem directly. Norton 360 clearly warns the user of the mobile phone that the link they're about to press is a malicious site, and it will also block the software from installing. Harvey Norman has a great deal on Norton 360. Tell the Harvey Norman staff member the Adelaide Tech guy sent you in and get 2 years of Norton 360 Premium for the price of 1 year.
Check out these great offers at FIVEaa.com.au. Thanks to Harvey Norman Computers.
Participate in a clinical trial and forge the future of modern medicine. A potential treatment for dementia is being trialled at CMAX in the Adelaide CBD. The trial requires healthy adults aged 18 to 65 to stay at the facility for 7 consecutive nights. All eligible participants are paid for their time. Sign up for CM5421 at cmax.com.au. That's cmax.com.au. If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from ASIC Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. ASIC Careers is growing, and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service. So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with ASIC Careers. Don't send it, ace it.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes after 7, we're joined by South Australian Senator and Federal Finance Minister Simon Birmingham. Senator, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Great to be with you.
Good to have you on, Burmo. Very different mood today versus the start of the program yesterday, where all we knew for sure was that the Naval Group contract had been torn up. In terms of jobs that will flow from this, are you confident that the number of jobs that it's going to create is going to eclipse what would have happened under the Naval Group contract?
In the long run, absolutely. What we're creating in the new nuclear-powered submarines will be even more technologically sophisticated, even larger in terms of their size and dimensions. They will need even more people to crew them in the future, but indeed they'll need, no doubt, more in terms of the build and the build of the infrastructure and all of those things. And that, of course, is only one part of what was announced yesterday with the commitments to upgrade the Collins class, to keep the full cycle docking here, to do the air warfare destroyer upgrades here in Adelaide as well. All of that creating quite a very strong jobs pipeline for many years to come.
Interested in how strong that pipeline is. What's the local build component of the new subs?
So the precise specs on that is something we're going to work through with the US and UK. But everybody should be reassured that they want us to succeed in this, not just in having the nuclear-powered submarine capabilities for Australia's security, but also in having the capability to build them, to sustain them, to maintain them, to operate them, and to do all of that safely. And so with the US and the UK, it's not a case that they're going to be squibbling with us over how much work is done here or there. They actually want to see Australia add to the overall alliance capabilities across our countries in being able to produce and build more subs, broader fleets that can enhance the strategic balance across the world.
Well, we had to squabble with Naval Group about that component, so it sounds like at very least it won't be less than what we committed to with Naval Group.
But each of these boats is a bigger boat, as I said before. So you start from even a bigger prism of what work is there, and then of course how that is cut up and shared depends in part on technological aspects. As we've indicated, the nuclear reactor itself will be built overseas and will be inserted then into the boat here in Australia. But that's no different from the fact that the main motors on the old Collins class were equally bought from overseas and inserted here in Adelaide. Adelaide. So there are different components depending on where they can be sourced, but I have no doubt there will be many hundreds of local Australian companies scattered right throughout Australia, not just here in SA, who will benefit from contracts under these arrangements in years to come.
Burmo, a lot of the background to the deterioration of our relationship with China happened in the trade space, and a lot of it happened when you were the trade minister, sort of sitting there lonely nights waiting for your trade minister equivalent in Beijing to pick up the phone and talk to you. On the face of it, and brutal sort of front bar description of this security arrangement, to me, looks like this is Australia saying that China's basically a lost cause, and that we're going to put all of our security eggs in this basket, and that we regard them as almost irretrievably hostile towards our interests. Is that too harsh an assessment? And if it's not, what would be your explanation of what it means to the Chinese government?
There's no doubt that Australia, for most of our history in modern times, has managed to be a long way away from most of regional and global conflicts and from the competition that's existed around the world in a military sense. That's no longer the case. Our region has seen large increases in terms of militarisation. There's much more competition, and indeed, some of that comes very much from China, as you've acknowledged. That requires us to respond in different ways to make sure we keep a balance across the region. Our interest is just that, in having a balance that helps to support stability, security. We want to make sure that Australia and every other country in this region gets to operate with respect for our sovereignty and the ability to maintain the types of freedoms that we all enjoy.
But can we still have a relationship with China? I mean, even thinking about like in the university space, I mean, we've got a Confucius Institute just down the road here on North Terrace. There's a lot of businesses that still trade with China. It's hard to see how the sort of simpatico vibe's going to continue now.
Not only can we, but we should, and we want to reinforce that this is Australia making sovereign decisions about our military capabilities, just as we respect any other country doing so, just as China does so. But that doesn't mean that we equally don't want to have diplomatic relations, trade relations, relations at a cultural level, at a community level. The Chinese community in Australia remains a very, very important part of our nation and contributes enormously, and we want to continue to work with them and where we can with China as much as possible into the future.
Finance Minister and Liberal Senator for SA, Simon Birmingham, thank you for joining us this morning on 5AA.
Thanks, guys. My pleasure.
27 after 7, the Premier of South Australia, Stephen Marshall, coming up after 7:30. Peter Malinauskas, too, will join us from the South Australian Labor Party. Let's turn our attention to sport. There's $7 million worth of vehicles declared during North Point Toyota's used car sale. It's on right now. I had a lot of fun listening to Rowi's program last night. I had Carol on, and around that, he was getting some mail about the possible preferred destination of, for right now, Swan, Jordan Dawson.
I've just had a text from what I'm going to call a reliable source, okay, that Jordan Dawson has picked the Crows. Now, that's not me saying that. Normally we would go with that. I believe, or whatever. I'm not willing to do that. Let me just say I've had got a mutual friend who actually lives in Robe. He is saying the jungle drums, is that what you call them, are beating in Robe. Now, why would Robe? Is he from Robe?
He's from Robe. I think he's from Kingston originally, but
is
yes,
he?
He played footy at Robe.
And he's home in Robe. Crows have got their man.
Crows have got their man. Well, they subsequently checked with the club, and the club said, no, we've got nothing to announce on that front.
Rowie? Rowie loves having a lash, doesn't he?
He certainly does.
The mail is good. Tom Wren said the same thing only an hour ago.
Well, Rennie's spoken to some people, and look, it's not a done deal because he hasn't visited Port yet. No. So that's how premature this all is. He's still scheduled a visit to go there to Albany, but according to Rennie, who spoke to us an hour ago, he's been to the Crows, and he's from a Crows family. So
yeah, well, I reckon let's just take a deep breath and wait and see. This has got "Can you feel it" written all over it right now for Crows fans.
I almost played it, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to do it. There's $7 million worth of vehicles declared during North Point Toyota's used car sale on right now.
When you think surgery, you think hospital, right? Well, Dr. Greg Keane wants you to think SportsMed.
SportsMed is the only purpose-built orthopaedic hospital in the country, with world-class nursing and theatre staff, a first-class catering team, and the latest innovations in patient treatment and care.
And your surgeons?
We're experts in all procedures for hips, knees, feet, ankles, shoulders, elbows, wrists and hands.
All your treatments, all your care. One place. SportsMed.
Start living life again after your successful surgery.
sportsmed.com.au.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Important announcement from the SDA Union. The SDA has commenced legal proceedings against Udunda Farmers Limited, the operator of 20 foodlands and IGAs in regional South Australia. Our federal court proceedings allege widespread underpayments have occurred in these stores over many years. If you've worked at a Udunda Farmers store in the last 6 years, register at udundatheft.com.au to see if you are eligible to claim compensation. Authorised by J. Peake, SDA Union, Kent Town.
Now, if you're a snorer, suffer from cramps or restless legs, this could be the answer to all your problems. Get yourself an Ultramatic adjustable bed.
Ultramatic beds are improving people's lives all over SA. Great quality with super comfortable mattresses made right here, along with outstanding German technology in their electric motors. They've even got a zero gravity position.
And here's the best part, because the Royal Show isn't happening, they now have lots of stock ready to go at show prices. You can get a fully adjustable single electric bed for just $2,499 delivered. That's an incredible saving.
And you'll also receive up to 50% off selected ResMed CPAP products. And just so you do know, today's CPAP machines, they are extremely quiet and they are more comfortable than ever.
Call into the Ultramatic showroom opposite Scotty's Motel. Sale on while stocks last.
At Coles, we're helping lower the cost of your weekly shop with great fresh offers. Like in-season crispy Aussie iceberg lettuce, just $1.50 each. Helping lower the cost of your weekly shop. Coles. Value the Australian way. Offer ends Thursday.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible shower in 22 with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Peak hour hit too hard? For an RAA-approved crash repair, contact Premier Panel Services.
The European Union's disappointed it wasn't told in advance about a new nuclear security deal announced between the US, UK and Australia. France has described the pact as a stab in the back as it loses a $90 billion contract to build conventionally powered subs for the Australian Navy. The agreement will enable Australia to build nuclear-powered subs using technology provided by the US. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell says member states will have to assess the implications.
We will explore ways to ensure an enhanced naval deployment by our member states in the region. We will assess the opportunity of establishing maritime areas of interest in the Indo-Pacific and engage with our partners in the region.
While high-level talks between Australian and American government officials have taken place in Washington, D.C. a day after the landmark deal was unveiled, it'll see an increase in US troop rotations and an air and maritime presence on Australian soil. It's now compulsory for aged care workers to have had at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. More from 9's Helene Lambetsos.
National Cabinet agreed to the measure and it's been legally mandated in New South Wales, Queensland and Western Australia. But about 6% of workers in the sector still haven't had a single shot. What happens to those workers remains a mystery, and there are concerns from the Health Services Union that the sector won't cope if staff are stood down.
And heart operations at a major Sydney hospital have had to be cancelled after about a dozen cardiologists were forced into COVID isolation. 2 unvaccinated nurses worked shifts at St Vincent's Hospital while infected. A new report has revealed significant safety concerns on Australian building and construction sites. The Hazard 2020 safety campaign has been examining the 2 most common sources of on-site incidents: scaffolding and mobile plants. It's found more than a third of mobile plant incidents resulted in serious or life-threatening injuries. Federal Safety Commissioner David Denny says better awareness is key.
I think a lot of it has to do with being aware of what the key hazards in relation to safety with scaffolding and mobile plant is, and then putting in place systems that ensure that those things are dealt with in a consistent manner.
A Salisbury service station was robbed at knife point overnight. Police were called to the Salisbury Highway after a man entered the business, allegedly threatened staff with a knife and demanded cash. A search of the area failed to find him, but then 2 hours later there were reports of a man armed with a knife acting unusually in a Salisbury Downs street. The 41-year-old's been charged with aggravated robbery and is expected to be refused bail. The weekend won't be as wet as initially thought, with intermittent showers more likely tomorrow and Sunday. While today we should notice the temperature start to drop later this afternoon as a change moves through. Vince Rowlands from the Weather Bureau says some of us may even have woken to the sound of thunder early this morning.
Around midnight and early hours of this morning, didn't really produce much rainfall, but certainly just some lightning and thunder.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected ASCO cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide captain Rory Sloane says his finger is healing well after off-season surgery to repair it. The 31-year-old telling Rowie it's coming on nicely.
I reckon I got another 15 degrees in the bend this week, between last week.
Yeah.
Stitches out, which was disgusting, watching the stitches get ripped out and a bit of dead skin being shed. But no, it's feeling quite good actually.
To netball now, the New South Wales Swifts captain is hopeful a test series between Australia and England can still go ahead. New South Wales Swifts skipper Matty Proud says the three-match series is scheduled for October.
We're in training. We're meant to go into camp next week, but as we know in this ever-changing world, things can kind of chop and change at the last minute. So we're all still training and hoping for at least a series against England in the next couple of weeks.
The doping nightmare facing swimmer Shayna Jack is finally over. The Court of Arbitration for Sport has dismissed Sporting Integrity Australia's appeal for her ban reduction. She's now free to return to competition. To soccer, and Leicester's blown a 2-goal lead before being held to a 2-2 draw against Napoli in the Europa League. Celtic also blew a 2-goal lead before going down 4-3 against Real Betis. West Ham had a 2-0 win against Dinamo Zagreb, while Rangers lost 2-0 to Lyon. And Michael Hooper will set a new record for most tests as Wallabies captain when Australia plays against South Africa tomorrow. Hooper's 60th test as skipper passes George Gregan's record. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now let's check traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Seaton got a breakdown on Tapley's Hill Road near Grange Road. Gilman burst watermain there this morning. That's Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. Crayford has got a lane closed on the freeway down track with speed restrictions in both directions. And Prospect Road has delays and restrictions in place. That's due to that earlier fire yesterday near Kintor Avenue. Get road trip ready these school holidays with Bow Repairs. Get your tyres fitted in 30 minutes or you get a tyre free. Visit bowrepairs.com.au. Selected stores, T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A possible shower in 22 today, a shower or two tomorrow, 17, a possible shower Sunday, 20, then cooler with showers on Monday down to 15. At the moment, 19. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Spring into a new kitchen with You Install It Spring Sale and get up to 25% off cabinets this month only. Stop dreaming and start renovating. Custom-sized and pre-assembled cabinetry means big savings without compromising on quality and style. Do it now. Plan your perfect kitchen with our 3D design planner online. Search You Install It or visit our showrooms at Modbury, Glandore, Norwood, Lonsdale and Churchill Centre. You Install It Kitchens, the complete DIY kitchen solution. Conditions apply.
G'day, it's Merv Hughes here. In my day, I loved battling the ponds, but these days, my missus is the enemy. Why? I snore really badly. But she saved the day by sending me for a CPAP direct sleep test. Now, the snoring is gone, I'm refreshed and revitalised.
CPAP Direct, now open at 600 Port Road, Allenby Gardens. From sleep studies to the latest CPAP gear at Adelaide's best prices. Sale on now.
If you snore or wake up tired, head to cpap.com.au.
When you holiday here this year, let Steam Ranger do the driving for you. Sit back, open your window and breathe in the country air as you ride behind vintage steam trains, classic diesels and heritage rail cars between Mount Barker, Bugle Ranges, Strathalbyn, Goolwa, Port Elliot and Victor Harbour, home to Steam Ranger's iconic cockle train. For tickets, times and travel dates, visit Steam Ranger online or on the line, with cockle train tickets available from the Goolwa, Port Elliot and Victor Harbour train stations.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
21 minutes to 8. The Premier of South Australia joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Premier Marshall, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, David. And good morning to your listeners.
So, Premier, our excitement at the deal is tempered somewhat by concern over what it will mean for the existing naval group workers. How confident are you that as many of them as possible are going to be able to shift over to new roles in defence?
I have no doubt about that whatsoever. There are still shortages in the defence industry right across the nation at the moment. That's been exacerbated, of course, by the international border closure, but also just by the massive amount of new work that the coalition has pushed ahead with since they got elected in 2013. So, look, obviously it's very disappointing for the naval group, and there'll be plenty of people there that are concerned. But I genuinely believe that they'll be able to find really good, lucrative, secure jobs very, very quickly.
There's a lot about this project that we don't know yet, and some of it's pretty fundamental. We don't know how many, what type, how much of them will be built here and how much they will cost. Can you answer any of those questions?
Well, what I know is we've got the full cycle docking staying in South Australia.
Yeah, but about the nuclear subs. I know the full cycle's great, but the nuclear subs, am I right? Do we have answers to any of those questions?
Oh, look, I think the Prime Minister was pretty clear that they're going to take 12 to 18 months to actually design what they need, and they're going to start that construction this decade right here in Adelaide. Now, they're going to be nuclear fueled, but importantly, they're not going to have any nuclear weapons on board. And that really means, we don't need to have, a sovereign sort of nuclear civil capability in Australia to support them, which is very, very good. That was one of the reasons why we couldn't go ahead with the nuclear option before, because you would have had to have created a full nuclear civil capability in Australia, which we just didn't have. So this is great news. We know that it's a minimum of 8, and as I said, thousands of jobs for South Australia for decades to come. But let's not dismiss not only the full cycle docking, which we're very pleased to keep in South Australia, but the life of type extension float, which is the extension of the life of the Collins-class submarines, which were originally conceived and built here in South Australia. They're going to have a service life now, which is going to go for decades. In fact, the work on the life of type extension will extend right through to 2038, and that is extraordinary work for our state. Billions and billions of dollars worth of extra work announced yesterday. And then on top of that, the Hobart class, the destroyers, they're going to have a very significant multi-billion-dollar upgrade here in South Australia, and that's beginning in 2024. So I think in total, in addition to what was promised yesterday with regards to the new nuclear fueled fleet of submarines, there's about $10 billion worth of work in terms of that LOTE and Hobart class upgrade. So it's just decades and decades and decades of work for South Australia. People were very fearful that full cycle docking was going to go. Well, we kept that and we massively expanded on it.
Premier, in a security sense, deals don't get any bigger than this. I mean, you've got the world's largest superpower, you've got one of the most important countries in Britain and one of the biggest economies in the Asia Pacific, having these covert talks for months to pull this off. At what point did you get the, mate, there's something you need to know phone call, and who did it come from?
Well, I think you know that we've been working on the work with regards to full cycle docking and LOTE for an extended period of time, also the Hobart class upgrade. But I'll be honest with you, the pivot to this new AUKUS arrangement was really out of the blue. It wasn't something that I'd ever discussed with the Prime Minister, and of course you wouldn't expect that I would. This is a matter for the National Security Committee. It's not a matter to discuss with state premiers. But I've got to say, the US, the UK are our historic allies and partners, and now an incredible new alliance going into the future. And look, I think this is great for Australia.
Premier, just changing tack quickly on one other topic. You've had a bit of a messy week internally at the Liberal Party. Are you confident that by the end of next week you'll emerge with all current MPs still accounted for?
Look, I think you know me well enough to know that one thing that I'm focused on is the coronavirus and jobs for South Australia. That's my focus and always will be.
But you want to keep all your MPs as well, I'm sure, as part of that.
Look, I think South Australia is doing an extraordinary job in terms of handling the coronavirus. We've just been able to secure decades of work for South Australia. That's my focus, always will be.
Why would you want to be anywhere else? I guess that's the message to everyone out of that.
Well, and yesterday the employment figures came out. We've got more people, full-time employees in South Australia than ever before in the history of our state. And the other good news is we've got youth unemployment at a level we haven't seen for more than a decade. So I think there are more jobs here in South Australia. I think South Australia's got a spring in its step, and yesterday's announcement, decades and decades of work, I think is just going to be, I think, give us that ongoing confidence that South Australia is the place to be.
Good stuff. South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall, the leader of the Labor Party in South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, is also on the line. Peter Malinauskas, good morning. What was your instant reaction to the massive announcement yesterday?
I think, gents, it's fair to say that yesterday's announcement in the long term represents a really good opportunity for the future of our state, both in terms of jobs, but what I was particularly happy about is the long-term strategic interests of the future of our national security. As you gents probably both know, I'm a big supporter of the Australian-US alliance, and I think anything we can do to shore that up into the long term in a technological sense is a good thing. The catch is that in the immediate term, we do know that there are jobs that are at risk. So there are 350 people wake up this morning that work for Naval in South Australia that are obviously very uncertain about what is happening to them, along with the 400-plus workers who are currently working on Naval's facilities down at Osborne, who are working for Australian naval infrastructure. All that work now presumably is on ice. And when you put those two numbers together, that's 750 workers and their families that are really going to be unsure about where their income is coming from in the immediate future. So I think there's a bit of short-term pain here for potentially a long-term gain. But we can't lose sight of the fact that those workers need a bit of certainty. And the other thing, of course, is that there's still a lot of detail. 2 days ago, we had a $90 billion contract. We knew that 60% of it was going to be expended locally. We knew the number of workers. We knew that steel was getting cut on submarines in the next couple of years. We knew the program was going to take us right through to the 2050s. But today, we don't know how many jobs. We don't know what the value of the contract is. We don't even know who the contract is with. We don't even know what class of boat we're building. So there's an 18-month consultation period, which is going to result in a degree of uncertainty, which needs to be worked through as quickly as possible so workers know exactly where that opportunity lies.
Yeah, I think that's entirely reasonable. Peter Malinauskas, the leader of the South Australian Labor Party. There is a lot of detail that we don't know at this point in time. Instant reactions tend to be for the sticker on the box, don't they? You see what you see right. what it purports to be looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But let's see what it is. And that still hasn't been worked out. There's detail to come.
But the shorthand description for it is a one-word response like, whoa, yowza,
absolutely.
Crikey, this is going to be huge.
Absolutely.
But the question is, when is it going to start getting huge?
The excitement that I'm hearing too in South Australia in terms of what Peter Malinauskas and the Premier are saying about long-term opportunities. If you work in the business area, right now you're going, hang on, we're going to do part of this attack class submarine. Well, that's looking a bit shaky. Well, it's beyond shaky. You don't know where you are. But you know who spends a lot of money on military hardware and development of it? The United States. Partnering more closely with them about the stuff they make for our private entities here is massive. And that's the genuine excitement.
And there's businesses that have got absolutely nothing to do with defence, who make hydraulics and who do communications and who make maybe even businesses that used to make car parts, who are suddenly going to be getting calls going, hey, do you reckon you can do this?
Well, and remember, AUKUS isn't a nuclear submarine deal. It's the first component of a massive deal about technology sharing and military hardware. So there's potentially more for South Australia if we are positioned in the best place. Again, let's see the detail. Hey, okay,
Here
time.
we go.
It's time to send some people off to the grand final. Well, hopefully, could be in this group. It could be in this group. If you call in right now on 8223 0000, David Hall's grand final bonanza. I can tell you Terry's going to be in the running so long as Terry says anything. Terry, say anything.
That'll be Terry from the Vale, and anything will do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You did it, Terry. Magnificent work. Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
Joe, where are you?
Thanks, mate.
Excellent work. Thank you, Joe. Not far from me. Let's go to Rob. Morning, Rob.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Where are you?
I'm in Prospect.
On you, Rob.
I'm all for the Sons of the West.
Okay, a doggies man. I like that.
the
Haven't had too many go for tickets yet. Andrew, good morning.
Hello, it's Andrew from Dulwich.
Beautiful. Thank you, Andrew from Dulwich. Where's Marty from?
Seacliff Park.
Marty's from Seacliff Park. Is it Jeanette or is it Janet?
It's Janet from Reeds Plains.
Well, Janet, you're in the running to win grand final tickets. Thank you. Anthony, good morning.
G'day, it's Anthony from Plimpton.
Anthony from Plimpton. Thank you, Anthony from Plimpton. Let's go to Somerton Park. Jenny, who are you going for in the grand final?
Well, I think I'll go for the D's.
You're going for the D's. Thank you, Jenny.
And the D's.
Richard in Kidman Park. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you two?
Good.
Good, thanks, mate.
We are good.
Go the D's.
Go the D's. Thank you, Richard. Did my job for me. That was tremendous. Fiona, good morning to you.
Good morning. It's Fiona from Netley and go the Bulldogs.
Oh, good on you,
Beautiful,
Fiona. Doggies. Janelle, good morning.
Good morning, it's Janelle from Mawson Lakes, and I will go for Melbourne because that was my team before I went for Port Adelaide.
Beautiful. Good stuff. Thank you, Janelle. And you get to cheer against the Bulldogs 2 weeks in a row. Susan, good morning.
Hi, Susan from Clayburn Farm. Go the D's.
Thank you, Susan. Tony, good morning.
Tony from Seaton.
Okay, and John will be the last one who gets in. Morning, John.
Yes, hello. We're in the Cove.
John.
Under D's.
Good man.
Beautiful.
You're in the running.
We just had a record number of entrants then. We had Terry, Joe, Rob, Andrew, Marg, Janet, Anthony, Jenny, Richard. Can't read my writing there, but there's one more. Janelle, Sam, Tony, John. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
14.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We're going to break 14 as our record for the final one we do in the next hour of the program.
Are we going to let it dangle a bit longer, are we?
We've got one more to go, and we're going to beat 14. That's my commitment. Glenelg BMW now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
Gilman got a burst water main, Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. At Mitcham, those roadworks clearing up after that earlier burst water main. Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Restrictions still in place though. Prospect Road restrictions there in place after that fire yesterday on Prospect Road. That's near Kintor Avenue. And Crayford's got a lane closed this morning. That's on the freeway down track. Speed restrictions in both directions. Upgrade to the latest 5G phones at Optus and get the best price guaranteed. Don't miss out on your new phone. T's and C's apply. Visit Optus in-store or online today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
It's incredible. Over 50% of tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery have already been sold. Don't miss your chance to join the fight and win big. The $3 million grand prize is a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home on the Esplanade with $500,000 in the bank. You'll have no mortgage and no worries. Tickets won't last long. Get yours today at homelottery.com.au. Thank you for your support. Licence M14053.
There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
We've had a real mix of outside sunny days and inside with dressing gown kind of days to start off spring.
It's cheap as chips weather. Whatever the weather, it's always cheap as chips time. They've got everything you need to get your spring garden and home in shape. Thanks to the Cheap as Chips, it's a spring thing. Home Life catalogue out now.
This huge 24-page catalogue is your excuse for a spring refresh with hot offers on everything from air fryers to on-trend rattan furniture or just the everyday essentials.
What about that? You can sit in your cane chair while the Chico roll bubbles away quietly in the background in the air fryer.
Picture.
That's right. Whatever you need, maybe you want a Chico roll. Whatever you need, if you're spending $75 or more in store, you'll get a $10 voucher back. That is crazy. Spend $75, get $10 back. T's and C's apply.
Whatever spring thing you need, spring your thing. Cheaper at Cheapest Chips in store or online. Find a store near you. Visit cheapestchips.com.
No one likes to wait. Especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 minutes to 8. Let's have a look at the weather for today and the weekend. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News joins us. Good morning, Amelia.
Good morning, guys. Yeah, we're off to a warm and sunny start in Adelaide at the moment. It's 19 degrees currently, so that's not too bad for your Friday. We had a low of 17.9. And we did see, I don't know if you guys might have noticed it, but we did sort of have some windy conditions in the early hours this morning. We did see the odd sort of thunderstorm roll through with sort of a trough that rolled through, but we do have another change on the way today, and that will sort of, you'll just notice cooler winds move through maybe around midday, maybe a little bit earlier than that actually, just delivering some cooler conditions. So we'll probably hit our top of 22 degrees before then. We could maybe see a shower later tonight. I've got a better chance of showers tomorrow. There'll be real typical sort of showers, so stop, start, hit or miss. We're not expecting a great deal, but just enough to sort of, warrant a mention, maybe up to a millimetre at best. And then Sunday we'll see another good start like this one too. So sunny conditions around, but there is a chance of showers late in the day on Sunday with another front, going for a top of 20 degrees beforehand. Now that second front will lead to a much cooler day on Monday, just 15 degrees. And that's probably looking like our wettest day, if you can call it that, for the week, maybe 1 to 3 millimetres worth. And then as the trend goes, we, then slowly dry out and warm up as the week wears on. But for now, enjoy a sunny Friday morning and get set for some cooler winds later on.
Beautiful. Good on you, Amelia. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News. It's 4 to 8 and time for John Blake's Wrap of the Week, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
There will be a major new defence agreement between the United States, Australia and the United Kingdom, tearing up the French $90 billion naval group agreement to build the 12 attack class submarines here in South Australia, potentially replacing them with a purchase of nuclear submarines.
A three-way conversation, and Boris and Joe Biden came with trepidation. Joe then forgot Scott Morrison's name. His memory is buddies. Called him Buddy, that little guy from down under Australia there somewhere. And they signed a little treaty. It seemed to be quite speedy. They finally sealed the deal. All nuclear submarine. First time we've ever seen. Sounds like that, but don't tell the Greens. It's guaranteed to blow their minds.
The fallout from Port Adelaide's prelim disaster, they got rid of Hamish Hartlett.
They got rid of Hammer and supporters are mourning. Hammer now is leaving, it's not what he planned. They said we're making changes, we're sending out a warning. We're giving you the shove, which means some others may be listed. Whoa, to be canned.
The video of Kimberly Pratt, the Channel 7 journalist who was sent out to cover the whale carcass yesterday, unable to speak for the stench as she's gagging, trying to deliver a piece to camera.
It's such a pong, yeah. It's such a pong, yeah. It's such a pong, yeah. It's really stinky blue. The other day it washed up onto the beach. A rotting whale, the smell that made me dry reach. It's such a pong, yeah. It's such a pong, yeah. It's such a pong, yeah. It's really stinky poo.
Well, from John Blake coming up after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. Stick around for the Police Commissioner. He's up next.
Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop.
Adelaide homes in some areas have increased by as much as 30% over the past 12 months. There's extraordinary buyer competition for quality homes, with some selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars above vendors' expectations. And with demand still outweighing supply, chances are that prices will continue to rise through spring. If you're thinking of selling, there's rarely been a better time to maximise your returns. To find out what your home's worth, go to toop.com.au.
If you see someone wearing the UNFA badge, you're in good hands. Only the best can wear it. The UNFA badge is worn with pride. After 60 years of service to the community, it's a name you can put your trust in. At Unfair Community Care, we're there for your loved ones, providing aged care support, community care and NDIS services. Call Unfair Community Care for more details. ANFE. Unfair Community Care. We're always there.
If you've been itching to get off-road and you know how important good quality off-road gear is, then TJM has some great news. They've expanded their team at their Clare Valley Park store and they'll help you scratch that off-road itch. Anything to do with four-wheel driving, it's TJM. So don't wait months to get the gear you need. Get into TJM today and get off-road tomorrow. Booking times and stock is limited, so act now. tjmsa.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Spring into a new kitchen with You Install It Spring Sale and get up to 25% off cabinets this month only. Stop dreaming and start renovating. Custom-sized and pre-assembled cabinetry means big savings without compromising on quality and style. Do it now. Plan your perfect kitchen with our 3D design planner online. Search You Install It or visit our showrooms at Modbury, Glandore, Norwood, Lonsdale and Churchill Centre. You Install It Kitchens, the complete DIY kitchen solution. Conditions apply.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Online, on DAB digital radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible shower in 22 with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Hit. Car scuffle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services, RAA approved crash repairer.
New details have emerged about Australia's historic defence pact with the US and UK as China slams the landmark alliance. Defence Minister Peter Dutton and Foreign Minister Maurice Payne are in Washington for talks with their US counterparts. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says more troops will be sent to the northern parts of Australia as part of in-principle agreements.
The United States will not leave Australia alone on the field, or better yet, on the pitch.
And France's fury over the historic deals escalated. The country's cancelled a gala in Washington, D.C., celebrating its alliance with the US. Australia's now scrapped the submarine project with France, which was worth $90 billion. And the Prime Minister says Australia's adoption of nuclear-powered subs doesn't require a domestic nuclear power capability. Scott Morrison says there's no reason for Australia to relax the ban on nuclear energy.
This doesn't require the development of Australia's civil nuclear capability. And the other key thing that is involved here is these reactors on these vessels are able to be there for the whole life of the vessel.
It's now mandatory for aged care staff to have had at least one dose of a COVID vaccine. The decision was made by National Cabinet, but it's believed almost 6% of staff still haven't had the shot. Health Services Union Secretary Gerard Hayes says the sector can't afford to lose any workers.
Who looks after the people in the residents and the residents in these facilities? It is not an area that we have a huge amount of luxury of numbers.
2 men have been arrested after an assault and robbery in Theberton last night. A man was walking along Kintore Street when he was hit over the head with a bottle. Senior Constable Dave Muir says the pair allegedly stole his lanyard and ran off.
One suspect was arrested, the second suspect ran off, but we grabbed him a short time later near Adelaide High, where we also recovered the victim's lanyard. 32 and a 44-year-old man, both been charged with aggravated robbery, refused bail. They'll front the Adelaide Magistrates Court later today.
And a man's been charged over a service station robbery at Salisbury. It's alleged the 31-year-old threatened staff with a knife at the servo on Salisbury Highway. Queensland has become the 5th state to legalise voluntary assisted dying, with legislation passing state parliament overnight. More from Nine's Laura Anderson.
It's been a divisive and emotive issue, but Queensland Parliament has agreed to legalise voluntary assisted dying. The bill passed 61 to 30 after MPs from both major parties were granted a conscience vote. It means from 2023, Queenslanders suffering from a terminal illness that's expected to cause death within 12 months will be able to choose to end their life. It'll need to be signed off on by 2 doctors. Deputy Opposition Leader David Janetsky attempted to amend the bill, introducing 54 clauses. However, all of them were defeated. Private hospitals run by religious organisations will have the right to choose not to provide euthanasia, but they must not hinder a person's access to it.
Enjoy this morning's mild sunny conditions because there's a cooler change on the way. Vince Rowlands from the Bureau says it'll start to move through around the middle of the day.
So we'll start to see temperatures dropping a little bit as we get into the late afternoon and then overnight.
And a cassette tape believed to feature an unpublished song by late Beatle John Lennon will be auctioned off in Denmark. 4 Danish teenagers interviewed him for their school paper in 1970. The tape featured a 33-minute recording of their chat and apparently includes the song Radio Peace, which is never aired. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to $800 on selected Asco washer dryer packages. Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. The race for Sydney defender Jordan Dawson's signature is on, with the 24-year-old set to make a decision on his future over the weekend. Both the Crows and Port Adelaide have expressed interest after he told the Swans he wanted to be traded back to SA. Meantime, AFL boss Gillon McLachlan has played down any hopes of a grand final being moved to WA again in the future. The league's chief executive says losing 2 deciders has been heartbreaking for Victorians.
It's been a pretty emotional time in Victoria, and Victorians, and particularly Victorian government, have taken losing the grand finals pretty hard. So I think it's challenging, but, we can see the upside of it's possible. There's certainly at the moment it's been pretty challenging in Victoria.
Cricket Australia's confident England will send a full-strength side for the Ashes this summer. There have been some suggestions players will boycott the tour over the tough quarantine measures. To soccer, West Ham has claimed a crucial away win in the Europa League against Dinamo Zagreb to kick off their campaign. The Hammers scoring in each half to secure all 3 points.
Declan Rice here for West Ham. Scores through the legs of Livakovic in the Dinamo goal. Declan Rice has doubled West Ham's lead.
Leicester could only manage a 2-2 draw at home against Napoli, while it was a bad morning for the Scottish sides. Ange Postecoglou's Celtic lost 4-3 against Real Betis, while Rangers lost to Lyon 2-0. Adelaide Thunderbirds rising star Georgie Horgis has recommitted to the club for a further 2 years in a major boost for the T-Birds. And week 2 of the NFL season resumes later this morning. The New York Giants up against someone. I've just forgotten who, Kendall. That is the 5AA Sport.
Now let's check traffic.
Glenelg BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
Gilman got a burst water main this morning, Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. At Mitcham, road crews clearing up after that burst water main on Fullerton Road near Carrickhill Drive. Restrictions still in place there. Prospect Road has restrictions in place after a fire yesterday. That's near Kinsale Avenue. And Crayfus got a lane closed on the freeway down track. Speed restrictions in both directions. Right now at Oporto, get a delicious pita pocket with 2 crispy chicken strips, coleslaw, regular chips and a 390ml drink for just $9.95. Order in store or take away now. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A possible shower in 22, a shower or two Saturday 17, a possible shower Sunday 20, then cooler on Monday with showers down to 15. At the moment it's 20. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, behind closed doors coming up after 8:30. We've got a meat tray to give away thanks to Barmulwink Butchers. More than just a butcher shop. Meat solutions for your everyday. 378 Findon Road at Kidman Park. We had a lot of fun earlier. Chatted with Eric Thomson, the star of Pack to the Rafters.
Yep.
That Back to the Rafters releases on Amazon today. We talked about the process of getting that show back together with him and asking you for the meat tray. If you could get a cast back together to put your favourite show back on television, what would it be? We'll take some more of your entries before 9 o'clock on 8223 0000. You can text in on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line as well. But right now we're joined in the studio by Police Commissioner Grant Stevens. Commissioner, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you in, as always, Commissioner. We were just chatting off air. It sort of feels like all the days are sort of blending into one at the moment. We're on a bit of a holding pattern, aren't we, with all this?
Well, I think it's fair to say we're holding the line. So, we still look over to the eastern states and the mess that they are in, hoping that we can hold that away until we see the vaccination levels get up to the point where we can start to relax restrictions.
Are you happy with the pace of the rollout here? I note where, as of yesterday, the federal figures that came out were at 61% first dose, 42.4% second dose. 4 weeks ago, we were probably close to that second dose number. So there's been some acceleration.
Yeah. And I think, this is not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But I think the availability of the Pfizer vaccine is probably the big trigger for that. For whatever reason, I think there's a degree of hesitancy around the AstraZeneca vaccination. And as Pfizer becomes more available and the vaccination stations become more readily open to people, I think we'll see an increase. I think everyone's hoping we get to that 80%, but we've seen in other countries that's possibly somewhat aspirational, so it's sort of on everybody in the community to stand up and do their bit.
Is it fair to say, and yesterday we had Miguel Sferris, who runs a wedding centre. He's got, and what he put it very civilly on air, real concerns about the coming school graduations and Christmas events and so forth. To those people, are we in a holding pattern right now, or are you, as the emergency commander, still of a view that when the transition committee meets, that we do sincerely need to try to look as close as we can at more freedom within safe parameters? Yeah,
it's the latter. When the transition committee meets, it's my expectation that we test every restriction that we have. Some of the restrictions are in a holding pattern. There's no doubt about that, and they won't change. And some of the obligations we have, like QR codes, I think some of the physical distancing requirements we have, like 1 person per 2 square metres if you're standing up in a function, and 3 per 4 if it's a seated dining type area. I think they're probably in a holding situation, but all of the other things that impact on our community, we are obligated to make sure that we are examining those and testing the validity of those based on any changing circumstances. And the circumstances may be what's happening interstate, the level of vaccinations that are out in the community, because every time we get more people vaccinated, there's more protection in the community, which means we should be thinking about, does that give us the ability to change the impositions that we have?
Could that include dancing?
It could. Yeah, absolutely it could.
Because other states have allowed it. I think Western Australia, Queensland and the NT, they're allowing it at the moment.
Yep. Well, there are some differences, I suppose. Western Australia has a very rigid border arrangement, and they have a lot of freedoms at the moment, and they have the luxury of having South Australia between them and the eastern seaboard. A big challenge for us is the number of entry points we have from particularly Victoria and New South Wales, but mainly Victoria, by road into South Australia. And we've got huge numbers of police, SES and Australian Defence Force personnel and our protective security officers out standing on the borders to process people coming into the state. I visited the borders a couple of weeks ago, and you take away the trucks and heavy vehicles and there's almost no traffic coming into South Australia, but it's still a challenge for us to be across all of the roads, and there's over 70 entry points, I think, into South Australia that we have to try and be across. So as much as we try, we can't guarantee that we're stopping people coming in who might be COVID positive.
I think last time we caught up, we put some questions to you about what South Australia might look at, like post 80%, and you were awaiting briefings at that point in time about what exactly would be possible and might be. Is that picture any clearer for you today?
That work's still being done. There's some it's based on the modelling from the Doherty Institute, and getting some sense of what's happening in other places where they've got these higher vaccination rates that we're aiming for. So I can't say with any certainty what it's going to be, but I probably should forecast to people we're not going back to how things were in 2019. I think we're going to still have some restrictions in place, because we need to know that with COVID-19 coming into the South Australian community, and that's a reality when we lift our borders, we need to know that our health system can cope not just with COVID, but with also all those other people who still need to access health services. So we need to have that level of confidence, and that might mean that there are some things that we're going to still maintain some level of restriction.
Is that things like masks and QR codes? Are they sort of...
Look, I think, and I've said from the outset, QR codes are only here for as long as we need them for COVID-19. They are a COVID-19 response, but QR codes will be around when we hit the 80% mark. I think that's part of the base layer of protection we need, is knowing that we can follow up on people who may have been exposed to the virus.
And density limits, are they still part of the conversation?
It's a possibility. It's too early to tell at this stage. The goal is to lift as many restrictions as possible when we know that the community can actually cope with COVID being here.
Just in a chain of command sense, Commissioner, can I ask, there's been many cases, and we've done a lot, and I did a piece in the Tiser about it today, going into bat for the 12-year-old Loretto College boarder who's stranded here, trying to get a straight answer from SA Health as to whether she can make it home for the school holidays. There's the case of the pregnant woman that's now been resolved. You have no oversight on that stuff, do you? That's all SA Health, isn't it?
That is SA. Exemptions are dealt with by SA Health, but as the SA Police is the coordinating agency for a response. So we are. I'm regularly talking to SA Health executives, the chief executive, other key people in their team about what can we do to help. And at the moment, they're processing as much as they can, prioritising those people who need to come in for compassionate reasons, end of life and medical. And I think they have a huge task. My feeling is they're doing as much as they can, but this is a sad reality of making a decision in some respects that we are protecting the South Australian community from COVID-19, and that will have, in some cases, significant impacts on individuals. And it's balancing the individuals' difficulties and hardships arising from these restrictions with the obligation to protect the broader community of South Australia.
In a broader sense, though, and I've always used the shorthand term, the stuff this for a joke moment, where you lose public support for measures. Do you think, and Will made a good comment the other day when he said SA Health, great at health, maybe not that adept at running call centres or processing all this stuff. That's not their day job. And suddenly they've had to try to go, whoa, we've got 7,000 applications here, where do we start? Do you think there's an argument, and indeed I'd ask you point blank, is there anything going on behind the scenes to try to approach this differently? Because it feels to me, in all honesty, it's one thing that makes me as a private individual go, stuff this for a joke when I hear about 12-year-old Lily.
Well, let me say this. SA Health aren't in this on their own. Like I said, SAPOL's there to support and assist any way we can, and we'll make available resources that SA Health need, and we're getting regular updates in terms of how they're working on this. The Department of Premier and Cabinet are working on automating some of the processes so that they can be done in a more technically savvy way, so we don't have manual processes to free things up. But I think there's also one of the challenges is, and I completely sympathise with the stories that we see in the media about these people who are affected by these restrictions and the inability to get back into South Australia. But there are a lot more people in South Australia who have a sense of that there's an expectation that we'll be taking the steps and putting measures in place to protect them from COVID-19 at the moment. And we don't hear from those people. And this is not to diminish the stories we see in the paper or hear about on the news. They're isolated cases and they are compelling stories. But there are 1.8 million people in South Australia that want a level of protection from what's happening in the eastern seaboard. So it is a difficult balancing act. And the reality is when you put these sorts of restrictions in place on a community, it will affect people. We are affecting small businesses. We are affecting people's mental well-being. We're affecting their economic livelihoods. We're stopping families from getting together. It's not any sort of business that any of us want to be in, and they are hard decisions.
100%. Well, as you know yourself with your daughter's wedding last year.
Yeah, well, we were lucky enough to get that over the line. My son's Year 12 graduation event was alcohol-free, so I don't think anyone had a good time at that. So it's not what they wanted.
I hope he hasn't got a fake ID.
I haven't asked that question. I'd rather not know. He's an adult now. So.
Oh, that's good.
Doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
He passed it on to his younger son.
That's right. Good on you. Commissioner Grant Stephen, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure. Thanks.
18 minutes after 8. Let's check traffic thanks to Glenelg BMW. They're now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW.
Look out for a burst water main this morning at Gilman. That's Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. Prospect Road has restrictions in place after a fire yesterday. That's near Kintel Avenue. And Crayford's got a lane closed on the freeway down track. Speed restrictions in both directions. Busy on the drive in this morning. Main North Road, Clayson Road to McIntyre Road with cameras Bevington Road, Glunga and Kelly Road at Modbury. At Bob Jane T-Mart, save 20% off great wheel brands plus 20% off select Kumho tyres. And Sunday, call 13 26 25 today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sport Show.
AFL has a new GM of football, two-time Lions premiership player, long-term coach of North, Brad Scott.
I love the game. I mean, I love the pure form of the game, and with two teams going at it, and largely, in a perfect world, you just let that happen and observe it.
4 p.m. weekdays.
What is your philosophy around the game? Is it leave the game alone because it's brilliant?
I suspect we're going to let the changes that have happened recently consolidate before making any further tweaks.
Rowie Sport Show on 5AA.
For 37 years, Steinborner Automotive has always been well worth a trip. They are Adelaide's small SUV specialists. Located in Gawler with late model Tucson, ASX, RAV4 or the Forester, Trax, Kona and more available now. Perfect for the growing tribe with lots of space, safety features and economical to run. With 60 SUVs in stock, Steinborner Gawler has you covered. View all our used vehicles at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
Feel the finals fever as the SANFL Statewide Super League Final Series continues at Adelaide Oval this Saturday. See Norwood take on South Adelaide in the first semi-final from 3:15, before the Bays go up against the Eagles in the second semi-final under lights from 7:15. Bring the boundary banter and continue your SANFL story. Round up your mates, get the kids, and head to the SANFL Statewide Super League Final Series this weekend. Get your tickets now from Ticketek. Visit sanfl.com.au/finals for more info.
As experts in hearing care, Specsavers Audiology know that when shopping for hearing aids, you need upfront information to make the right decision, because hearing aids need to fit your needs, lifestyle and your budget. That's why Specsavers provide upfront prices on great value hearing aids online and in-store even before your appointment. And it pays to shop around. Some Specsavers customers say they saved half the price quoted on top-of-the-range hearing aids that other people were selling. Specsavers Audiology for upfront prices and straight-up advice. Visit specsavers.com.au/hearing. That website one more time, specsavers.com.au/hearing.
If you need a window, and not just anything will do, just call Statesman Windows. Factory direct to you.
Nobody beats Statesman Windows, not on quality and certainly not on service. Windows, sliding doors, bifolds and more. Made right here in Adelaide. Factory direct to you. For windows when and where you want them, call Statesman Windows. States.com.au.
Windows when and where you want them. Windows when and where you want them.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
And they called it Puppy Love.
For veranda, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes after 8. I think there's an old radio trope of sort of deliberately trying to annoy people to, get some sort of emotional response. And
Are you saying we don't do it deliberately?
No, when we annoy people, it's entirely by accident. That's right. It's sort of our endearing but sometimes annoying quality. I'm going to have to break that rule momentarily, David, and I do so in a very immediate sense because I think this will quite deliberately annoy you.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling Stone have released an updated version of their list of the top 500 songs in history.
Now, I haven't been through it yet. I emailed the link to it to myself yesterday with a view to reading it on the couch over the weekend.
Oh, so you haven't looked at it yet?
I haven't looked at it. I haven't
so
looked
they
at
did
it.
this about 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, it's really interesting. 9 of the original top 10 came from between 1959 and 1971. Like the 60s, the golden age of music, effectively. That's changed. Do you care to... So I'll give you a sense. The old number one, the old list, 20
the old
years
list
ago,
was always Like a Rolling Stone. Was
Like
the
a
number
Rolling
one song.
Stone, Bob Dylan. Then...
Give Me Shelter, number 2?
No, it was Satisfaction.
Yeah, okay.
Rolling Stones. Imagine by John Lennon. What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. Respect by Aretha Franklin. Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. Johnny Be Good from Chuck Berry. Hey Jude by the Beatles. Smells Like Teen Spirit from Nirvana. And What I'd Say by Ray Charles. That was the original top 10 20 years ago.
That's a good top 10.
Okay. Do you want to hazard a guess as to what the top 10 might be now? Because I can tell you it's changed significantly. And once you've had a few guesses, we'll play everyone listening a bit of a montage of the new top 10.
See, I don't think there's any songs that have come out in the last 20 years that would justify muscling their way in ahead of those 10.
I can tell you there's 2.
Is one of them by Taylor Swift?
Nope.
Because Tay-Tay is the only person who I think could argue.
Tay-Tay.
Yeah, I'd say All Too Well could make the top 20. Mate, I don't know. I don't know.
There's some
maybe
movement.
not.
There's some movement in the old ones. There's some movement in the old ones too. There's been some falls and some rises.
I reckon Imagine might have fallen, and I think Johnny Be Good might have dropped out of the top 10. That's one of those things that's there because it's like the genesis of rock, not because it's a particularly great song.
Well, here is the new top 5 songs of all time, according to Rolling Stone.
Oh, good selection. Public Enemy. Here we go.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running.
Is it Otis Redding? Who is it? Sam Cooke. Sam
Ever
Cooke, yeah.
since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. How does it feel to be on your own with no direction home? A complete unknown.
So that's number 2.
4. We started at 1. So the new top 10, according to Rolling Stone, the new top 5, Aretha Franklin goes into the number 1 position with Respect from 1967. Public Enemy, Fight the Power in second, 1989. Sam Cooke, A Change Is Going to Come from 1964. Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone drops down to the 4th position from 1965. And Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit in 5th place, 1991.
I don't hate the idea of Aretha being number 1. I just think there's something uniquely awesome about Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan gets extra points because he's Bob Dylan. I think
I agree.
I think that
I love
song,
Bob Dylan.
it's like if you're doing the greatest 100 jazz records of all time,
Yeah.
what you're actually doing is the greatest 99 jazz records of all time, starting at number 2 in the undeniable recognition that Miles Davis kind of blew with, Coltrane, Adley, Bill Evans on piano cannot be trumped ever and never will be as the number 1 jazz record. And I think the same is true of Highway 61 Revisited. I just think that's sort of like everything, and it's the transition from folk to rock. It's everything about modern rock music, that song.
Rounding out the new top 10, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On in 6th position from 71. Strawberry Fields Forever from 1967, The Beatles. Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On from 2001.
I don't mind that being in there.
Has no place on that list.
Song.
No place on the list.
Such a good song.
No. Fleetwood Mac's Dreams from 1977 and Outkast FIVEaa from 2003.
Well, no, Outkast is just bubblegum pop music, I reckon. That shouldn't even be in the top 50. But, see, this is the Black Lives Matterification of the recognition of music. And some people might say that's tokenistic. I actually think it's sort of overdue and valid. There's a few, like Outkast, you can argue the toss about. I think putting Public Enemy second is way too high. But Public Enemy are an awesomely good band, and in the past, bands like that, and people like, Sam Cooke and what have you, Marvin Gaye as well, a lot of those old lists forgot that these people existed.
Yep.
And the idea of excising black Americans from the history of music is kind of silly, given that they've done so much of the heavy lifting. So I reckon it's good.
28 minutes after 8, we've got Fuel Watch coming up, and behind closed doors shortly.
North Point Toyota are holding a massive used vehicle sale. They need to clear over $7 million worth of used vehicle stock with a huge range of used vehicles to choose from. SUVs, four-wheel drive, sedans, hatches, commercial vehicles. There's bound to be one that suits you. North Point Toyota's massive used car sale is on right now, with all used vehicles available for immediate delivery. It's the North Point way. Hillcrest, Prospect and Port Augusta, or northpointtoyota.com.au.
Did you hear Viterra is looking to fill 1,500 jobs across South Australia for this year's grain harvest? With no experience necessary. These positions are perfect for people looking for short-term employment, including students and retirees. It's great pay and you will receive full on-the-job training. And you'll have great fun along the way. For more information on the range of jobs available between October and January, check out viterra.com.au. Viterra, 1,500 jobs, 1,500 reasons.
G'day, Dr. Carl Kruszinski here. I'm thrilled to announce that I'll be hosting Blue Planet 2 live in concert with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra. This concert features the music of Hans Zimmer, conducted by Maestro Vanessa Scammell, and it highlights breathtaking footage from the multi-award-winning BBC television series Blue Planet 2. Join me for this truly extraordinary concert event on the final evening of the Festival of Orchestra, December the 4th at the Adelaide Showgrounds. Book at aso.com.au and I'll see you there.
It's the Super Smeg sale at Adelaide Appliance Gallery. Save on Smeg for 10 days only. Get up to $2,000 cash back on Smeg Classic and Smeg Victoria. Now's the time to reinvent your kitchen with up to $2,000 cash back on Smeg. Adelaide Appliance Gallery offer dedicated support from delivery to servicing, so you always get the best out of your appliances. Hurry, the Super Smeg sale is only from September 16 to 26. Head to Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr. Dishwasher. T's and C's apply.
We've crunched the numbers and found we're the only CTP provider originally from South Australia. And right now, if you hold an SGIC CTP policy and purchase a new comprehensive car insurance policy with us for the same car, we'll give you a $100 Visa e-gift card. Call us today on 133 233. SGIC, part of the IAG family. E-gift card offer ends 24 October 2021. Excludes renewing policies. T's and C's apply at sgic.com.au/visa. Always read the PDS and TMDs from sgic.com.au.
Hi, Rodney Jane here. Make your car look awesome. Bob Jane T-Marts have 20% off great wheel brands such as KMC, XD, Fuel and American Racing. Most ROH alloy wheels and top CSA wheel designs including Raptor, Chicane and Hornet. Plus 20% off selected Kumo passenger and SUV tyres. Be quick, this week's awesome deals end this weekend. We'll look after you.
T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible shower in 22 with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Peak hour hit too hard? For an RAA-approved crash repair, contact Premier Panel Services.
There's more anger from France over a landmark defence pact between Australia, the US and UK. Officials have cancelled a prestigious gala at the Washington Embassy in protest. The agreement to supply Australia with a fleet of submarines means our $90 billion contract with France has been torn up. France's ambassador to the US, Philippe Etienne, says they found out about the deal through the media.
First, we were upset because Australia has terminated this contract where we had all invested so much effort, and also because we were not informed until we seen the first news yesterday morning in Australia and also in the US.
And Defence Minister Peter Dutton and Foreign Minister Marise Payne have wrapped up meetings with their counterparts in Washington. It's understood in principle deals have been struck to station more US troops in northern Australia. Mr Dutton's long been calling for the move and was asked why Australia may need more troops in the top end.
We stand with our neighbours in the Indo-Pacific to ensure enduring peace, and this collaboration makes it a safer region. That's the reality, and no amount of propaganda can dismiss the facts.
510 new COVID cases have been recorded in Victoria overnight. Of those, 124 have so far been linked to known outbreaks, and there's been one more death. The government's pushing the construction industry to do more to keep staff safe. More from Nine's Lucy Gray.
An interim report into safety risks on Australian construction sites has uncovered concerning levels of compliance. In the 8 months to May this year, there were just over 100 mishaps involving scaffolding and mobile plants. Almost a third resulted in serious or life-threatening injuries. The Federal Safety Commissioner David Denny believes education, awareness and stronger enforcement could be key to improving safety standards on building sites.
Elton John has been forced to postpone his upcoming tour in Britain and Europe until 2023 due to a hip injury. It's the second time the dates have been postponed. A cool change will start to move across the state around the middle of today. It'll see a drop in temperatures later this afternoon before a cooler weekend with intermittent showers. Vince Rowlands from the Weather Bureau says the cool temperatures will continue into early next week.
A bit more shower activity expected on Monday, so top of 15, and maybe a little bit more rainfall expected up to about 3 millimetres. And then we go into a bit of an easing trend and temperatures starting to warm up towards the end of the week.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Save up to 15% on selected Asco cooking appliances at Adelaide Appliance Gallery, home of Mr Dishwasher.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Jordan Dawson remains hot property for both the Crows and Port Adelaide, with both clubs keen to lure him. The 24-year-old has told the Swans he wants to be traded. Still on footy, and Jack Riewoldt is disappointed Richmond will likely lose two of its emerging stars in Callum Coleman-Jones and Mabwar Chol. The Tigers veterans told Fox Footy he understands why the key forwards want to leave after they struggled for senior opportunities.
If I was in that position and I wasn't getting a regular game, you have to look at your options. But it's just disappointing that we're going to lose probably both of them. Halfway through the year, you probably look and go, well, maybe one goes. But they're sort of playing for the same spot behind a couple of blokes in the two spots that they can play. Then maybe one leaves, but to lose two is going to be pretty disappointing.
Joel has agreed to a 4-year deal with Gold Coast, while Coleman-Jones is expected to join North Melbourne. Meantime, Tom McDonald has re-signed with Melbourne as he prepares for next week's grand final against the Western Bulldogs. He's agreed to a 2-year deal, extending his 192-match career in the red and blue. To golf, American Ches Reavie remains the outright leader late in the opening round of a PGA event in California. He finished with a 7-under opening round of 65, while Aussies Mark Leishman, Lucas Herbert and Cameron Percy are all 6 shots back. Sebastian Vettel has taken up his option to continue with Aston Martin for the next Formula One season, and it's only an hour or so away from week 2 of the NFL season getting underway. The New York Giants are up against someone, Kendall. I couldn't tell you who last half hour. That someone is Washington. That's the 5AA Sport.
Good work, Tom. Now let's check traffic.
Is your BMW due for a service? Then book your service today at Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
Trinity Gardens got a 2-car collision on McGill Road near Portrush Road. Gilman burst water main, Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. Prospect Road has restrictions in place after a fire yesterday. That's near Kintyre Avenue. And Crayford's got a lane closed on the freeway, down track speed restrictions in both directions. Look out for cameras, Blacks Road, Gillis Plains and Foster's Road at Oakton. Anaconda's Grand Gazebo sale is on now. 30% off all gazebo accessories by Austrail and Spinifex. Don't miss the Grand Gazebo sale this weekend at Anaconda. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Head to Foodland, Drake's or IGA for Nutrimate, a new dog roll loaded with healthy nutrients.
A possible shower in 22, a shower or two tomorrow, 17, a possible shower Sunday, 20, then cooler with showers on Monday down to 15. At the moment, 21. More news as it happens on 5AA.
For verandas, sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 9. We usually chat with Ryan Fitzgerald about this time of the morning, but he's busy in Sydney this morning celebrating 10 years of his breakfast radio show with Whipper. So big congratulations to them. They've just gotten off air. It's a huge achievement.
Is it ever?
It's a pretty competitive space. Getting to 10 years is remarkable. So congratulations to Fitz and Whipper. They've done a wonderful job in a really competitive market there.
So what will the nature of their celebration be during a hard lockdown? We'll just stay in the studio together and...
Crazy Zoom meeting.
That's right, exactly. Online sculling competition.
Exactly right. Hey, one thing for our listeners to be aware of, and this will be the last time we do this before we announce the winner on Monday, but David and Will's grand final Bonanza is drawn, as I say, Monday morning, which means we haven't played Bonanza this hour.
No,
there's
we haven't
one
done it
time
yet.
to
There's
go.
one more slot.
And we committed to break our world record of how many listeners we get put in the running to win this competition.
Which stands at 14.
So we've got to beat 14.
We'll
All
beat
right.
14.
So I'll be whipping through these like nobody's business.
Do we have an extended version of Bonanza?
Nope.
So it's just going to be the same length, which is
Same
2
length.
minutes?
Exactly
2 minutes?
right. 2 minutes. 2 minutes worth of Bonanza. It's coming up before 9 o'clock. People are already ringing. I don't hear the music, folks.
He's a hard taskmaster.
Barmer Wink Butchers have provided the meat tray this morning. More than just a butcher shop. Meal solutions for your everyday. 378 Findon Road, Kidman Park. Brad in One Tree Hill. Like Back to the Rafters. What's the TV show you'd bring back?
Oh, you boys mightn't remember the show, but it was a comedy about volunteers at the front line against the might of the Nazis in World War II, Dad's Army.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Now, I've modernised it to suit our times. Now, Scott Morrison could be Captain Mannering. Adam Brand, that serial pest who over there, who negative about everything.
Adam
That's
Brand.
the air warden who tries to sabotage everything.
Yep.
Private Pike, he run around like a hoodless, like a headless chook. That could be Tom Coots and Tonus. and Private Godfrey, that black market shonky bloke who dealt in nylons and champagne. That could be that federal politician who's got all his money, doesn't know where it's come from.
Thank you, Brad.
That is good.
You know what?
The entire cast.
Brad recast it in a remake, which
Yeah.
I think is a tremendous effort.
Good idea.
Let's get us some text on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line.
One here taking me to task about the Rolling Stones top 500. I would just like to correct David about FIVEaa by Outkast being poppy crap. I don't think I said that. I did say a bit bubblegum. But he said, this person says, it's actually an incredible song about people staying in unhappy relationships, and Andre 3000 is an amazing lyricist.
There we go. Thank
There
you.
you go. I stand corrected. Rob, I think he's a Crow supporter, says, sorry guys, I couldn't resist the jibe, but it sounds like Never Tear Us Apart has taken a big dive in the top 500. Thank you for that, Rob. A lot of entries as well for the Bar Moo Oink Meat Fest today. One here from Maggie says she would sell her soul to have The Bill and Taggart back on the air. The Bill was huge in the 90s, wasn't it? Remember The Bill?
Oh, The Bill was massive, yeah.
What was his name? Burnside. He was that real hard bastard cop.
19 to 9, behind
PC
closed doors
Burnside.
shortly. Lucy, we didn't manage to catch up with our listener Yuri a little bit earlier in the morning.
You can't, Yuri.
To save you the trouble.
Kennedys!
Because you say it every single time we do the Bonanza competition. Now you can just save your breath. In fact, you could go out and we've got the David button.
Kennedys!
There you go. So
That's how he says it.
Well, that's how you say it. No one's actually heard him say it.
Do we really all want Melbourne to win, do we?
Kennedys!
I don't. I'm going for the Bulldogs.
Oh, yeah?
Absolutely.
I'm going for the D's.
Oh, yeah? Nah.
Well, what I should say is I'm really going for Max Gawn and Petrarca. Big grand final for Australia's excellent Italian multicultural heritage, isn't it? Two of the great midfielders of the modern era, Bontempelli
You're
and
right.
Petrarca,
I
going
hadn't thought
head
of
to
it that
head.
way. Really is.
Top 10 Italian footballers. Go. Barassi.
Yep.
Silvani.
There's been a million of them.
There's been a lot. It's been a lot.
All right, we'll let you work on that list.
They're in the
Not
top
sure
10.
you were.
They're in the top 10.
Just you ad-libbed straight into a top 10 list, which was a really brave move to do on live radio.
At least it didn't involve paella making, Will.
That was, it was your
We've worked
branching
together
out.
for 7 years, haven't we? 7
Yep,
years?
7 years.
Is it 7?
Here you go.
Kennedys!
All right.
Stop playing it.
I think
We've got to get Yuri on to do it properly.
I'm going to get another one that just has you saying paella.
Okay. I need my own buttons.
Yeah, that'll be excellent. I'm going to push another button, so get calling.
Whoa.
Come on.
Here we go,
We need to
Adelaide.
get
Last
right into
chance.
this because we're going to try and break a record. This is your last chance to get off to the AFL Grand Final. We gave you enough of a lead in. 8223 is the number. I'm not going to muck around here. We're just going to get to them. Russell, where are you?
Hello.
Thank you, Russell. Michael, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Michael from St. Pete?
Thank you, Michael. I'm not going to hear the end of that. Tom, where are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm from Clare.
Thank you, Tom. Where are you, Matt?
Victorian Flat.
Thank you, Matt. Colleen, where do we find you?
Semaphore Park.
Okay, I'm world record pace. Kathy, where are you?
Debenhams.
Thank you, Kathy. Could be the new home of the Crows. Jamie, where are you?
Hillbank.
All right, I'm running out of breath. Good morning to, I don't even know who this person is. They haven't got a name yet on my screen. If you think... Jim! Thank you, Jim. Look at that. We didn't even need your
On
name.
you, Jim.
Jim's in the running. Good morning, Dino. Where are you, mate?
Kensington Park.
How am I going, David? Are we close to the record?
Getting there.
Louise, good morning.
Louise of Mount Torrens.
Thank you, Louise of Mount Torrens. Let's go to Tony. Where are you, Tony?
Gallowinky, Northern Territory, but I'm on my way back next week.
Oh, well, good on you,
mate.
Tony. He's getting around a fair bit. This person doesn't have a name either. Make a sound if you think you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello, what's your name?
Yeah, Dave from Clare Valley.
Good on you, Dave. You're in the running. Susan, where are you?
Hi, Craigburn Farm. Go to D.
30 seconds remaining. We need to break a record here. If you think you're on the air, make a sound.
Hello.
Hello,
Lindsay.
what's your name?
Lindsay from Edwardstown.
Lindsay from Edwardstown. Good, well played. That was tremendous. Let's go to Julie. Who are you going for in the grand final, Julie?
I'm going to go for Melbourne because...
No,
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, Julie, don't have time.
No explanation required.
Sam, good morning. Sam, say something, Sam.
Mount Barker.
Thank you, Sam. Sue, good morning.
Good morning from Christie's Beach.
Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
Sue, hello.
Yeah.
Sue,
Sue's
we
the
got
lucky
Sue in.
last.
Sue
Sue's
from
the lucky
Largs North.
last. So let's add it up. Did we break the record this week?
If I was Keanu Reeves, I would say, man, that was hectic.
Oh, boy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
We broke it by
No,
5.
20. Ruby and Lucy counting
sorry,
outside.
20. Well,
the
I did
official
fail
count has
Year
us
10
at
maths.
20 people in the most prolific Bonanza yet. The final playing of Bonanza. Monday morning, everyone who made a sound during that segment on the air will be in the running to win David and Will's Grand Final Bonanza. So if you were tuned in, if you called in, you got through, make sure you were listening Monday morning because you might just get the news that you're off to the AFL Grand Final with flights and accommodation and everything. Thank you, David. All taken care of.
Sue from Largs North. Will she be lucky last? Who knows?
We'll find out on Monday. Let's check traffic. Is your BMW due for a service? Book your service today. Glenelg BMW on Brighton Road.
At Dry Creek, got a sinkhole on Salisbury Highway near Port Wakefield Road. It's in the right-hand lane heading towards Port Adelaide. Take care, they're causing a few delays. Trinity Gardens, a two-car collision, McGill Road near Portrush Road. Gilman, burst water main, Bedford Street near Grey Terrace. And Crayford's got a lane closed on the freeway down track, speed restrictions in both directions. Look out for cameras this morning, Kelly Road, Modbury and Trimmer Parade at Seaton. Welcome the sun. With Munn's Professional Fertilisers, you can make your lawn lush and green all year round. Search for Munn's Professional Fertilisers today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Are you over 60, home and contents claims free for the last 3 years, and looking for a better deal? Buy new home and contents insurance with FIVEaa and you could receive $100 off for the first year. With a little extra savings, you can do a little more of what you love. Talk to us today on 13 50 50. FIVEaa. Get set, go. T&Cs apply. Offer ends 30 September 2021. Not available online. FIVEaa is an authorised representative of the insurer AAI Limited. Before buying this insurance, read the PDS. Call for a copy.
The all-new Isuzu MU-X. Exquisite styling. Exceptional tech and safety. And when it's time to get off the beaten track, it's exhilarating. With extensive restyling, expanded off-road capability, plus 3.5-tonne towing, the all-new 7-seat Isuzu MU-X is extraordinary. Search all-new MU-X.
If the thought of this as a job drives you crazy, you might want a job like this. Here's Chris from ASIC Careers to tell you how.
Thanks, Rowie. ASIC Careers is growing and we need more drivers to keep our promise of perfect service.
So if you want a career that takes you places, get in touch with Ace It Couriers. Don't send it, ace it.
Living with osteoarthritis means living with pain, but SportsMed is changing that thanks to the revolutionary GLAD program. Here's SportsMed's Dr. Greg Keane with more.
GLAD is a 6-week exercise program performed in groups, and it continues to produce remarkable results for patients, even a year after completing the course. If you are struggling with the pain of osteoarthritis, visit SportsMed. Let's beat this.
SportsMed.
Start living life again, even with arthritis.
Sportsmed.com.au.
Right now, at Lordman & Pank Optometrists, receive 20% off lenses and lens extras when purchased with a frame. Hurry into your Lordman & Pank store today, as this offer is only available until 26 September. T's and C's apply. Lordman & Pank. We care for eyes.
You can trust 9 News is live and local. Weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. 9 News.
Don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. Visit olympicindustries.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 minutes to 9. We're going to go behind closed doors in just a moment. We're going to get a better version of this.
Canadies!
Because David says it, and I think he said it 6,000 times over the course of the last 5 days during the Bonanza competition, because he's such a big fan of our listener Yuri, who will end all phone calls and correspondence with Calm the D's. We've got Yuri on now to give us a better version. Yuri, good morning to you, mate.
Yeah, my name's Yuri and I follow Melbourne football stuff. Did you know that?
Yeah, literally the only thing I know about you, Yuri.
Mate, every time I see you out in the delivery van, I can hear you a mile off giving us the...
Actually, it's not Calm the D's. You're ready, everybody? Here we go. This is what Yuri says this. Calm the D's.
Yuri, you're a total legend. Thank you. We appreciate that. And now we've got it recorded.
Excellent.
For all time.
Saved it for posterity.
Yep, we do. We'll chop that up and we can play it.
Beautiful
Magnificent.
stuff.
All right, speaking of playing things, let's get some behind closed doors action happening thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Tony Pilkington.
Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome along to the afternoon thing that we do of an afternoon in the afternoon, or thereabouts. I haven't had a scotch yet, but I've put the teeth in, and how's your father? Alrighty, here we go. The good news this week is that the RAA has decided to leave interest rates as they are, and you'd have to say that the RBA would be a bit concerned that the RAA is getting involved in interest rates because it's none of their business. Alrighty, the fallout from Port Adelaide's disastrous. You got to say was disastrous, awful. You've got to say awful, just disgraceful. You've got to say disgraceful performance in the preliminary final. And an email from Jaden. Jaden says, "G'day, Pilko. Pilko, would David Koch be the only AFL president to live outside the city where his team is based?" Yeah, interesting question, Jaden. Jaden there wanting to know in that email of his if David Koch is the only AFL president to live outside the city where his team is based. Yeah, don't know, Jaden. Somebody will know. Somebody will give us a call. Somebody will have the answer on that email address of ours, the on air here at 5AA.com.au address of ours, and wondering if a tough guy like Kochie perhaps sensed before the preliminary final. A little bit of complacency or overconfidence in the boys just before. Nah, not as president. You wouldn't say. He wouldn't. Nah, not as president. Nah, he wouldn't. Nah, he wouldn't. Nah. But I was thinking maybe Kochie might consider doing. As president. He wouldn't. Nah, he would. I'm sure he's not. He wouldn't. Nah, he wouldn't. Alrighty, she's open slather from now until 3 o'clock. You can give us a call on that number of hours on any subject you like, as long as you've got your teeth in and you're not slanderless. So give us a call and do feel free to just make up words as you go along. Alrighty.
8 minutes to 9. We've got some Fuel Watch that just come through as well, thanks to Glenelg BMW. They're now open on Brighton Road. Drop in and see Adelaide's newest home for BMW. It's been pretty samey over the course of the week. hovering in the low to mid $1.30s petrol. It's kind of been there the whole time, so it's been tough to find the real bargains for you. Brighton Road and Hove is where you'll grab the best bargain for petrol today. That's $1.27, but as you can see, it's not exactly like a 30 cent per litre difference, but that said, it's as cheap as it gets. The other side of the ledger is probably up along OG Road. There's a Liberty petrol station there charging $1.48. So, again, it's not the end of the world, though. You're only going to get stung by a variance of 10 cents here or there. Not like what we saw a couple of weeks ago. You were getting $1.60 in the hills and $1.30s elsewhere on the plains. So, not too bad, but not as cheap as we've seen it either. 7 minutes to 9.
Overwhelming are the feelings of grief and loss. More so when you add the confusion and uncertainty of arranging a funeral. At Distinctive Funerals, we offer guidance through the hardest of times and clarity for the path ahead. distinctivefunerals.com.au.
Here at FIVEaa, we're all about supporting local. The Ultramatic sale is on now. Get a fully adjustable single electric bed for just $24.99 delivered. Hurry, visit the Ultramatic showroom opposite Scotty's Motel.
If you've been itching to get off-road and you know how important good quality off-road gear is, then TJM has some great news. They've expanded their team at their Clare Valley Park store and they'll help you scratch that off-road itch. Anything to do with four-wheel driving, it's TJM. So don't wait months to get the gear you need. Get into TJM today and get off-road tomorrow. Booking times and stock is limited, so act now. tjmsa.com.au, T's and C's apply.
Harris Scarf's big stock take clearance sale has arrived. You'll find great deals on the latest spring trends across all our brands for your entire home and wardrobe. Enjoy 40 to 60% off all homewares in Manchester, 30 to 50% off all clothing, footwear and underwear, and a huge 20 to 30% off all electrical. Plus, our new 3-hour click and collect service is now available at all stores. Shop great brands at great prices at Harris Scarf today. Hurry, sale ends Sunday 3rd of October. Exclusions apply. See in-store or online for details.
For veranda sheds, garages or carports, don't miss Olympic Industries Whatever the Weather sale on now. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 to 9. We've got a meat tray to give away thanks to Barber Wonk Butchers. More than just a butcher shop, meal solutions for your everyday. 378 Finnan Road, Kidman Park. We were talking earlier about back to the rafters.
Well, open up your mind and see like me.
We had Eric Thomson on the program. Dave Rafter gave us a little bit of insight into where the new season's going. It's available on Amazon today. But it got us thinking about, well, if these streaming services are hungry for content and want shows to come back together, what would you like to see come back? We're getting some great suggestions through. You can still have time to call 8223 0000 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Some interesting population data has come out overnight. The Australian population, what do you think it is now to the nearest 100,000, if you had to guess?
What are we, 26 million?
25.7 million to be exact. 25.7 million is where we're at right now.
Did our population go up or down last year?
So to March this year, this is what the data runs through to, so it's all of the COVID year basically, there was a 0.1% increase in our population. 0.1%, about 35,700 people. The year in 2019 was 1.5%. So
that's immigration, isn't it?
That's immigration, absolutely. The movement in Australia's population for that year was almost entirely down to babies being born. That was basically it. There was very few people coming in. In fact, the number of people that came in was its lowest level since the early post-war era in Australia. It was sort of, you're talking late 1940s.
Wow.
The really interesting story is what happened in Victoria and New South Wales compared to the rest of the country. Victoria's population declined 0.6%. They have 43,000 fewer people living in Victoria. So
a lot of them would live in South Australia now.
About the size of...
Because we went up.
It's like the town of Wodonga basically got wiped off the map in Victoria. They've got about 43,000 people as well. It's the first decline...
A great man once said, South Australia, why would you want to go there?
Well, that's
43,000 Victorians have voted with their feet.
The Victorian decline, their first since 1981 in June, the first time their population's gone backwards. New South Wales grew, but they had their smallest growth in history. South Australia did grow. We gained 2,700 people. good enough for 5th in the country. Queensland grew by the most. So net overseas migration, to your question about how many people came to Australia, 95,300 people, the lowest since 1946.
This is going to be massive in the context of the defence arrangements.
Yes.
Because we can't do all this on our own.
Absolutely.
No way. No way. And one of my mates runs a huge engineering firm here, Jason, and they make all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, you know, he must have played with Meccano when he was a kid. His dad started the business. Great migrant success story, Croatian family. But he was saying to me the other day, so much of what they do relies on getting welders into Australia from the Philippines. Apparently the Filipinos are gun welders.
Really?
They can just weld anything. I'd love to know how to weld.
It always looks impressive, welding.
I got when I redid my kitchen at home, I designed this L-shaped giant steel bench. I just wanted a plain industrial-looking steel bench. I went to this place called Ackland Steel in Theberton with my stupid little drawing on a graph pad, and I said, "Do you reckon you can make one of them?" They went, "Yeah, we can do that in our spare time." Piece of cake. And when they were putting it in, it arrived in 2 pieces. And this guy, he welded it, and I still marvel at it now. You can't tell where it's joined.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Craftsmanship.
Yeah, it's just
craftsmanship.
And when you see things that are well made, they bring you enduring happiness, I think. Ackland Steel. If you want 2 pieces of steel welded together, get Ackland Steel to do it for you.
We've got Leon Biner coming up after 9 o'clock. Scott Morrison, the Australian Prime Minister, better known as that guy from Down Under, or Pal. He'll be on with Leon coming up very shortly.
I hope Leon remembers his name.
I'm sure Leon will. Now, let's give away the meat tray thanks to Barmawink Butchers. More than just a butcher shop. Meal solutions for your everyday. 378 Findon Road, Kidman Park. Who do we like?
We like all of them, Will. But there can only be one winner. And we're going to go with Simon from Plimpton with his excellent call, very tied in with the news cycle, for the Simpsons to be redone, based here in South Australia, with Homer working on a nuclear-fueled submarine.
It was a tremendous idea. That's all from us this week. Huge week news-wise in SA. We'll be back on Monday morning. Have a terrific weekend. We'll see you then.
Don't miss it, folks, because the winner of the grand final tickets will be announced.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM.